Gents, what's happening? What's happening? Joahawa,
Ah,
you are still telling us that you're having real life problems.
real life problems. No,
Yeah.
well, having okay life problems. Not
Okay.
nothing extreme.
So is okay premature ejaculation that film that forced your girlfriend to leave the property? To force her to leave. If those are normal, then I don't know.
those, those are the type of problems you take to the grave and would not qualify as okay life problems in
All
the
we
bed.
can tell you is that just go get him peso, silver bullets, all of those things that they say help. And you are Venda, this
Movies.
shouldn't be a problem.
I don't
There's a
have that kind of problem.
there's a concoction that you know about someone.
Showcase. There has to be one.
There has to be.
Yeah, I actually know a few, but that's not the kind of problems I'm having.
Oh, you know a few. Share the
Yeah.
game. Share the game. What's
You
the
need help?
name? No, I don't need help, but hey, it's good,
Oh,
to know.
okay.
It's good to know.
He just admitted
would-
he needs help, guys. Help the guy.
Don't worry.
It's good to know.
I
You know,
understand.
it's not like the guy who's gonna tell us the stuff has a problem, but at least he knows. You know, there's nothing as worse as
Good to have an
uh,
idea.
yeah, there's nothing worse as having an intruder in the house and then realizing you don't have weapons. You know, you have to prepare the
Oh.
weapons even when the intruder is never gonna come, but you must prepare.
You feeling it creeping in, eh? Like it's getting
Yeah.
close. Like you can
He's
feel
feeling
around.
It's not getting
Kancane
close.
kancane kuyavela.
It's not getting close, but when you're older, touch wood, obviously. Touch wood, you're hoping that you don't have to have a trip to men's clinic, you know, and then you can sort it out yourself.
Apart from this, to just make sure that you consume healthy amounts of beetroot because it helps with blood circulation and blood flow.
Uh,
That's a good
those
start.
one, I know that one I knew, but
Yeah.
as you tell me, let me go and put it on the wife's checklist.
She's been complaining for a long time, I can see.
Guys, it's not me.
Gotta keep
It's not
quiet.
me. It's not me. I just have a desire for beetroot. So maybe
Mama asking for a friend. It's okay.
So we understand.
I've been realizing with my 7 colors are missing something. Now you've actually told me what's the missing. That's the missing
Ingredients.
ingredient. Man.
Watching chow 2 whole beetroots alone. And drink the juices.
He makes a milkshake, a beetroot milkshake, or a what? A beetroot
Yeah.
smoothie.
2 whole
And that,
beetroots, one man.
those things exist actually. I've seen them.
They
Beetroot
do, yeah.
milkshake. They exist.
The smoothies
And Slyfish knows all about it. He knows all about it. Well done, Sly. Phela Dlala Ring My Dice also needs beetroot, we know.
Imagine. Imagine.
the fact that you need a jump start for that is actually worrying.
Hey, there are people out there who are struggling to get it up. It's life, guys. People, the one thing I've realized in life is that the body is an interesting thing. You
Hmm.
know, the more you grow, there's things that happen in your body that you like don't make sense, but you understand it's aging. For example, a certain part of your body will just be painful, but you know you've never injured it or whatever. And then you just realize that you growing. It's one of those things. So that's why I'm like, the body is interesting. Some people,
Yeah.
we have colleagues out there that are dying like out of nowhere. People who are our ages, who are just getting something and their body just gives up. So the body is a crazy thing.
It's actually weird that you say that because we, like today, literally this morning, we got word that one of our colleagues died.
Eh,
So, yeah, I know he went missing last week. So, you know how office, like how gossip spreads in the office. Well, okay, that one wasn't a secret and it wasn't gossip, but apparently it's not the first time he went missing. The first time he went missing, the wife allegedly locked him in the house.
Ah.
We don't know how true this is, but I mean,
this wife sounds like someone's Sly will one day marry.
No, I'm good. Hey.
Yeah,
It's not about
so
you being good. She feeds him. That's one thing I'll tell you for sure. She feeds him definitely. He's not in locked and hungry.
yeah, no,
Being
yeah,
locked.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Because when they lock you in
Mm.
the house, they don't want you to go and see other women, or they're punishing
Mm,
you for something. So
Sure.
apparently it happened before. So now the guy went missing. I think it was last week Monday,
mm.
where the guy's left house saying he's going to work, and then he never made it to work, never made it back home. They found his body allegedly at the graveyards on his by his
Yo,
mother's grave.
by his mother's
Hey,
grave.
Yeah.
How, how.
So
Is it
the family
suicide? Or
hasn't.
now the question is it suicide or is it
where's the
like
general
Murder.
a
sickness?
murder?
So that's the thing. Nobody, well, the
It's
family hasn't
murder,
disclosed yet. It could be either. That's the thing. So,
Mm,
because we don't know what the guy's state of mind was, we don't know what he was doing. So
mm,
it could be either of the two.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
and the guy's wife is about 28. Just imagine, like, so Umfeloga is at the age of 28 or 29. Yeah, like that's,
Yeah.
yo,
But you see
that's,
what I mean? We are going through stuff, and
yeah,
this guy obviously we don't know what happened to
What was he
him.
going
Like
through?
it sounds like it was like mental stuff or whatever the case may be. But I'm saying like I think you or not that you guys definitely one of our high school friends who died very early, not
yeah,
mid 20s or even maybe yeah they say
Mm.
mid 20s because I can't
yeah. It's
remember.
about 10,
He-
8, 9 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, so he had a he never had health issues, and we all know he ate healthy. Out of all of
Yeah.
us, we know he
Yeah.
was the healthiest person
Mm,
amongst all of us there. And he this thing of drinking like mad people, that wasn't his thing, whatever the
yeah.
case may be. And he
Mm.
just lived a healthy life, but he just developed a heart condition out of nowhere, and few months later
Did.
he developed it in like November. The following month, June, he had passed. You see,
Mm,
Or a follow.
and this
Yeah.
was someone with medical aid. This was someone who had the assistance to really help him recover. But it's life. Like he just got the thing out of nowhere, and it was done.
yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, on top of that, Sly, you mentioned alcohol, the alcohol culture that you wanted to chat about because you said
Yeah.
you were a drunkard. What's
I
happening there?
never said I was a
I
drunkard.
thought the
This
drunken
guy-
master.
Hey, listen to
I
this
just
guy's busy.
this guy is a
No,
drunkard, man.
I'm not.
I throughout our time chilling with Sly, I never knew he was a drinker until the one time we went to your gig, Joach, in
In
Laz.
KZN.
Yeah, I saw this guy handles his liquor, baba. Like I never expected it, but this guy handles liquor, and then I was like, hey, this one's a drunkard, baba.
The funny thing, my brother every time we go keeps asking about this guy. Like, is this guy coming? I guess they were drinking together.
you know, drunkards know each other.
Drunkard. Guys, I'm
So,
not that much of a drunkard now. I can
so when I
hold
Ah,
my
tell my
liquor.
brother that he's coming, hey, my brother got excited. It's like, yeah, you see, this is what I want.
Sly, what happened?
So
Hey,
no,
I had to cover some. Yeah.
we ended up
I
not.
end up not going.
Why?
So essentially,
It
what
was
happened?
Drunkards Anonymous this weekend. You missed out.
No, you know what happened. So okay, Wallet didn't have the budget to go, right?
Yeah.
So with that, there was another guy that was supposed to go. Then they were gonna share a room. So I was like, okay, because the guy didn't want to pay for a full room alone.
Mm.
I'm like, I know it's cool.
Have you
Just
now
pay for
finally sorted out the accommodation?
a long time ago, man. Like
He sorts
I'm
it.
the
saying,
He
last
sorts it
season.
early.
have you fixed it? Have you fixed it this time? The accommodation issue.
The plans.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the plans for accommodation.
I fixed those things out a long time ago. So
Fela,
it's one of those things that
the last time remember we booked an accommodation and in a place that doesn't exist. Even the
that
police
was
were
a
like,
once.
the
That was a
police were like,
once.
the police were like, where? They're like, this place does not exist, bro.
Mhm.
They even like, you're not the only ones. But
I
no,
wonder if they ever caught those guys. They're running a
Those
perfect
guys
scam.
made
Yo.
money, bro. Yo,
those guys
those
made
guys,
money.
yo.
But with the accommodation thing, I figured a way around it. So what did I say? Oh yeah. So the guy that was supposed to live with didn't wanna pay for a room alone. Like
Yeah.
so he was fine with sharing. So because he was fine with sharing, I was like, oh okay, cool. If you're fine with sharing, I knew that I could cover the one half, he pays the other half. And then that one half that he was gonna pay, the half that I was gonna cover, Wallet was gonna take advantage of because it was just half, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
Then the guy pulls out at the last minute. He's like, I am not.
Or the guy was meant to go with Wallet or share with
Yeah,
Wallet.
the guy that was supposed to shelter. So now when he does that, that now puts me in a situation where now I need to pay the full amount, and that thing
Mm.
sharp. I
Eish,
couldn't because as you know,
that
like I'm covering
Wallet.
most of the costs already.
Now you missed out on alcohol and a good time.
It's okay. It's
But
okay.
it's funny. It's funny because every time we go there, Shema, it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
And last
Hey,
time was a vibe when you all went.
I know it was a vibe for sure.
Hey, you guys should have been there this time as well. But next time we're going again in November.
Next time we want to go when it's warm, right? Not this
Yeah,
winter.
November will
November.
be warm. I not June. Hey, June it's
Rather,
cold.
I
Yo.
know, not June.
But June is not bad in Durban weather is not bad, guys. Like
But you were busy
even
telling us about
The
the gig
coldness.
is at the top of a mountain. At night, the music is always the best at night.
yeah,
Even
but
though technically all the sets are nice, but like
hmm,
the vibe is at night.
yeah, but it's not like Joburg cold. KZN cold is like your it's at the night weather is like your
I mean,
daytime weather in
Me, I
Joburg.
won't lie. Me, I don't like the cold. You can't be telling me good. It's in moderation to hey, cold is cold, bro.
Hey, I also don't like the cold. I struggle with cold weather, but
Cold is cold,
I
Baba. You don't have
won't
to
send
make
you
it
a
sound
dream.
nice. You don't have to make it sound nice. Cold is cold, Baba.
To give you
So
context,
yeah,
I was even wearing shorts like throughout.
you are a vendor. We don't
Eh.
question Baba. Now we are not vendors.
We
We
don't get
have,
cold weather in that part of the world.
but you are vendors, Baba. You guys wear shorts
Inventors,
in weird
even in
situations, Baba.
cold.
But
So don't compare us to you.
if I was white, I would understand. But I'm not.
Aye. Have you seen people from vendor? People can vendor can walk with a joke here in winter, Baba.
Why would anyone do that?
I'm saying they can. They
With
can.
Amakapa cup on top of that. With
I'm telling
Amakapa
you.
cup.
I'm
You guys
telling
are
you.
crazy.
You must see
But
how
yeah,
us Zulu and stuff are scared of the cold. But you will meet a vendor wearing shorts and I'm a patka van. And then you'll be like in winter.
you guys are crazy. Mara, November is where it's at. We're going on your birthday actually. So
Yeah.
we'll be leaving that as normal the day before, but we leave in the afternoon. We don't leave late at night anymore.
You don't
Cause
leave
like
at one. Last time we left at what, 1 o'clock,
Hey,
no?
last time Vele we left with
yeah,
the Stumbos, Baba, and
midnight.
Spova.
We don't do that witchcraft anymore. My brother was even saying that day he was scared. It was the funniest thing.
So what time do you guys arrive when you leave afternoon?
So we arrived at around 8. Around 8. This
Oh,
this
you
time
leave
was
on
not
Friday or
different.
Saturday?
Friday.
Oh, but then that means you guys leave during work hours. If you arrive
Yeah,
at 8,
yeah. We left
Yeah,
at
we
around, we
leave at
left at
2.
around 2.
then that means it's something that you have to plan for, like at book leave or half day, whatever.
Yeah, of course. I
But
book
that's
leave now
smart. I
whenever.
prefer it when you do it when it's done that way. So
Yeah,
then you have to also then basically book accommodation for Friday and Saturday.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I
that's
get
what we
why it was
do.
more
So
expensive for Sly than this time around. Because technically the last time we just had needed Saturday.
yeah. So this time because we need both days, Friday and Saturday. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Then you also have to budget for meals for
exactly. These
2
the
meals for
Friday
Saturdays.
as
both
well.
days. Yeah.
Mm.
So you get it.
Mm.
So technically it's more. So I don't blame Sly. It might have been easier if I came at least.
Yeah.
But still it was gonna be expensive. Not expensive because you're sharing a lot of the cost, but like more than what we had the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an extra day basically. But
Yeah.
the accommodation we're at, it's one of those self-catering ones, so you can cook. So it's one
Mm.
of those things where what I did this time to cut costs on food was to like I bought food when we got there, like the food on the Saturday
Oh,
morning, so we could cook
oh.
there, knowing that we don't have to keep buying takeaways because takeaways are expensive.
Yeah, these days where the takeaway prices, you.
You see, so for the entire weekend, I spent less than 300 rand on food,
So what did you guys
Eh.
chow? Pap and what? Water?
pap and chicken. Idiot.
Was that divorcenyana?
But I won't lie. I think the last time we just weren't plan. We didn't plan well.
No,
Obviously a lot of things
I think
went
the last
wrong.
time was the issue of the
Like
accommodation.
the
No,
accommodation
but
took
I'm
us out
saying
of budget.
no. I agree, but I'm saying a lot. We just didn't plan out because even the food, eating at the venue was the worst mistake we made. One of the worst mistakes as well. Because we could have got so much more for eating outside or something like that.
Outside. The
The
thing is, we also
previous
didn't know
event
any areas.
Mm.
at the time, yeah, the previous event that we did, there's a place that we found where you can it's like a buy and buy kind of setup. It's actually very
Yeah.
nice there.
Mm.
My brother loved it. So you go there, you buy your meat, you fry it there, then you buy pap as well or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was what we did. But then that one meal for all of us was like 300. There you ate and there was even meat left over for later.
You see, that's chowing. The last time you were chowing and then you just felt like you had starters. Then they're like, no, but this is the meal. Then you're like, ooh.
Like
That's
finger
when we had
food.
the venue. That venue, man.
I'm
Those
telling
were
you, the venue
starters.
one was like
Those are
starters,
finger food.
but they were telling us that it's the meal, that's the meal. And then you're like, how? This is the meal. So we're not eating
The way
after
we all
this.
looked at
Like,
each other and they said it's the meal.
And that's the thing when they serve food for people who drink. People who drink don't have time to eat a lot. They just eat for taste and then they
hey, me,
move on
I,
with
me, I
it.
want to eat, guys. No, no, no.
So
But do you guys
yeah.
still do
Well,
your
it's not like
Durban
they.
at the beach, spending time at the beach? Because me, that part was one of the best ones, bro.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Obvious.
The beach
But
the
did you
beach
go
is one thing
early?
we cannot skip.
I know
Did
that one is
Did
the
you go
vibe.
early to the beach this time?
Yeah, we went. What time was it? When we checked out at around 10, 10:30, we went from at around 10:30, we went straight to the beach. We're there up until around after 1, I think.
Then you left.
Then we left
Last
before 2.
You see, this time it was planned. Those are good times to arrive and leave.
Yeah.
Because the
So
last time we
what
from
even
time did
left
you
there,
leave
late.
at?
The last time we
Hmm?
left late.
we
Oh,
left
and the
way
one of the
late.
cars had an
Like,
issue.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
The
There was that
issue.
issue with the car.
We
There
left
was
late
also
that.
the issue with the car. I think
And
the
also
car
we
was
still went and
overheating.
looked for food. Hey, there
But the
was a
last
lot.
time, but that day we left, we actually left late even. Because
Mhm.
the car thing actually started. We started seeing it properly when we were leaving. But
Yeah.
like,
Mm.
but we left late because obviously I think a lot of things were taking time. We were waiting. We had to go fetch people who were sleeping in different places and all of those
Mhm.
things. So we did take a bit more time. I think that time we left around 3, 4
Yeah.
in that side, and
Yeah.
that's already late coming this side
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we didn't
But it
stop
was.
that day, and or we did. I don't recall.
We
Like
did
maybe for
stop.
petrol. Did we stop?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we did
did.
stop at the garage where we
Which
finished the
garage?
KFC.
Yo,
The
I can't
main one
remember.
or the one close to?
I think it was the
I
main one.
don't. It was one of
Because
The
I
the
one that we
main
skipped the
ones.
first time.
Because
Yeah.
oh yes, at the first one we still stopped.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we
You're right.
did.
We did win and
Mm.
finish the KFC. Now I'm remembering. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh man, why wasn't that? No, guys, I think you're confusing it.
No, we did
No,
No,
stop at
actually,
the
no, you're
remember,
beach.
right.
we did
You're right.
stop.
I'm just trying to recall if that was us going or coming back. But you're right. It was when we were coming back.
When we were coming back,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Stagwa Cult Sly, take it away.
No, I just wanted to ask you guys, like, your opinions on the drink culture in SA, because I know that lately a lot of people have been complaining. I believe there was one of the ministers or one of the people in parliament said that South Africans must stop drinking as a whole. And then I
Mm.
as a
wanted your
whole.
guys' opinion on that. Yeah, I don't
Wait,
remember who said it,
so are you saying,
but
are you is what is your topic? Is your
so
topic
my topic is, what do you guys think on the drinking culture? Has it become to a point where is it excessive, or should we find ways to limit the amount of alcohol that's available for people
mm,
in your guys' opinions?
Ash, Mina, let me just throw in some bars, la, some bars. So my bars is that I know nothing is excessive when you're in poverty. But when you're in poverty, you need something to dull the pain. And it just for a lot of people, it's alcohol. People have problems out there. You know, when you can't afford life, you turn to
Yeah,
something that you feel like is gonna numb the pain. Because I can tell you now, if every South African had a good job, um, and like just had like let's just say the basics, a lot of the basics were filled and stuff like that, there would be less drinking, and people will think that it's madness, that only people with money drink. People with money drink, yes, but in moderation. They don't go
mm,
crazy. Not, I don't know, we're not saying all, but we're just saying in general. But people who are living like on their last cents, when they drink to forget their problems. So,
yeah,
and that's just my take. My take is that limiting trying to limit alcohol does not fix the problem. We have a societal problem that alcohol tends to be people's way out. And when I say
Mhm.
that, I'm like, when people are
mm,
dealing with stuff, they tend to use alcohol as a way to forget or just to enjoy a part of life that let me put it to you this way. If you can't enjoy going to Durban because you can't afford it, or taking your going out with your friends to nice places, whatever, a lot of people then say, then I'll just enjoy my time at the tavern with my friends and drinking
yeah,
alcohol. You see?
mm,
So I think it's
okay,
just that it's a difficult one.
yeah, and
I
then
think also the love for liquor is something else. The love for liquor is
yeah,
something else because even when you tell people like, or even if you can hear the things people say about like not drinking, yo, hey, they make it sound like it's the end of the world to quit liquor. I'm telling you. So
But
if
it, but it,
the,
but don't you think that stems from somewhere?
that's
it
I
does,
think I'll say I think my Sly has a point where I think the issue is that people's situations, people are finding it an escape, sort of like, I don't want to compare it to drugs, but almost like drugs. I don't want to compare it directly, but
Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
escape for most people, where I don't have sense, I have problems. Maybe some people also escape their home life situations through alcohol, because it's actually, I'm not sure if it's safer than drugs. But then I recently read a study. So the reason why I wanted to actually ask, there is a study that I recently read, where they tested heroin on rats. So
How?
what they did
So
is,
you were tested there as well.
no, no, I wasn't tested. I'm
the
not a
the
rat.
good one,
Kansang ikundani.
the good one.
Well, anyway, they tested heroin. So like they got a couple of rats addicted to heroin. And then they put them back in the wild with bits and pieces, but they were still addicted to heroin up
Mm.
until they changed the community or the environment. So they moved them to an environment where it has lots of activity, freedom, where they can run around. And what they found there is that they found that they stopped being addicted. They stopped taking to heroin. They stopped taking to the escape that the heroin provided because now they were free. And I was wondering if that study could apply to.
Wait, so Manji, when they were dosing the rats with heroin, they basically
Mm,
saying they were dosing them cocaine or and
it's
in
like
like
in in a controlled environment, so in
yeah.
like a cage. Yeah.
But then when you release it, this is where my question is now on the study, is that if you release the rat, are you still exposing it to heroin?
Yes, they still exposing them to heroin and with aggression. Some of them they found that they still keep that aggression because remember when they got addicted to heroin, with the other rats that are there, some of them started to be aggressive with each other because there's
But my
meat.
question is, you know why I'm questioning this study? Is because when you put the rat in a confined area, like how do you get it addicted? Are you injecting it with heroin?
No, they're
They
making
lace
it
the water.
readily. They lace the
Huh?
water and the food. Lace the
They
water and
put
the
it in
food.
the water.
So then do they do the same thing in the open? They still lacing it, the water and the
Yes,
food in the
yes,
open environment.
yes,
Oh, okay. Now I have context. So they're saying that in the smaller communities, because then how are they not addicted if they always in taking it in, even in the open
it's not.
environment?
It's not necessarily the water. They lace it in like some of the foods that they eat.
So
Not
it was
Okay.
necessarily the water.
so the study
It's
what it
like
is talking about.
Mm,
They had the they had the consumables that were laced, and then they had the ones that were not, right?
yeah.
So in the controlled environment, because there was not much to do, they always went for the laced heroin.
Oh,
But
okay. I
then
get you.
outside of that, what would happen would be that you'd have the same circumstances where there's the laced consumables, and then there's the ones that are actually just pure.
Mm,
They wouldn't go for the laced ones in in their normal habitats where they had stuff to do,
yeah,
right? Where there was other stuff to keep them occupied, they would always go for the pure
and
and the cleaner
they
stuff.
were identified that this one is laced
they
or
would
makes
Yeah,
me feel a
identify.
certain way.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ah, okay, I get you. Okay, now the study makes sense. So they put the same circumstances in a confined versus not confined, but in the
yes,
not confined area, because the rats had more to do, they found themselves not being interested in the
Yeah.
yeah,
heroin.
yes.
Ah, okay. And then what
So
was the conclusion?
so they concluded that it's not because it's not necessarily what they concluded. Well, I'm not sure if the study was completed, but what was found was right. What if you take people who are struggling with the addictions and you remove them from the environment? What would then happen if you gave them almost a utopia type of environment where you gave them stuff to do and you made sure that it is available, but there are other things that you can do, there are other things that can occupy your time, sort of like.
Mm, mm,
So it was a study that they wanted to use on basically people who are struggling with addiction, whether it be alcohol, drugs, and so forth, you know.
no,
But I'm
that's an
not sure.
interesting one.
I'm not
That's an
sure.
interesting.
I think it's actually
Uh,
interesting because um, what would happen is how these substances are used is that they're used as an escape, right?
Mm,
So
mm,
given something where now a person feels like their life has purpose, most likely they would not gravitate towards drugs. A lot of the time, or liquor even, or liquor in excess. Let me put it that way. Because even now, if you look at how people consume liquor, is that they look forward to it as if it's like a break from everyday life.
mm,
To give context, we all have colleagues. You'll know how
yeah.
your colleagues look forward to just not being at work so that they can drink. For them, that's
Mm,
the most exciting part of their lives because then within the work environment and day-to-day life, they feel, I can say most people feel trapped. So it's like being on a
yeah.
hamster wheel and not getting anywhere. So that part of their life offers like some form of relief from day to day, like that day to day hamster wheel that they feel like they're on. So I think that might actually be you might actually be onto something there.
mm.
Because I feel like it's a study that they should at least try to investigate rather than having them go to the go rather than having them go to institutions where they try to talk about it and remove. I don't know what they do when they go to the AA meetings and stuff like that, but
Mm.
it seems like they just talking about it, not necessarily changing anything in terms of the environment. It's mostly just talk and
But
what
but
Sigmund
I
Freud has
think
been doing.
you onto something. Okay, I'll qualify by saying that you onto something there, or they onto something, whatever the case. But there are some people who, even if you change the environments, they'll still go after the heroin. I think that those ones we just have to accept that they there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe there's a bigger portion because let's be honest, if you're in the hood and you're addicted to drugs, and then let's just say your circumstances, it's unfortunate, but generally people's circumstances drive them towards drugs. Because if you're unemployed, there's nothing to do, but someone pulls up with weed or someone
Mm.
pulls up with heroin, and then you're like, no, I don't have anything to do. I think you remember on Friday, the movie Friday, like you ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to do, just smoke a joint, and then it's like, you know what, I don't have anything to do, man. Let me just smoke. So I think it's that circumstance. Then you get
Mm.
addicted. But the problem is that if you take that person and let's say go say spend 3 months in a mansion or like and do work in the mansion, the food is nice there, everything is nice, you have a nice TV, etc. You'll find good this guy. Yes, he will have crazy because obviously now he's addicted. He will have the drug addiction, right? But maybe because he has abundance, he may make a decision not to just to enjoy that environment and
Yeah.
do other things like go to the gym, run in the mansion or whatever the case may be. Whereas a lot of the time, the people in the hood or whatever the case may be, when they get addicted, they go to rehab. Then they have to go
Mm.
back to their situations where they got
Yeah.
addicted in the first place. And it's kind of like then it doesn't solve that person's problem that they still unemployed or they still have a bad they live in a bad neighborhood where they always getting robbed. All of those things. Their
Mm.
circumstances don't change. So I
I
Yeah,
think
think
they still.
also,
there's some truth to it.
yeah. I think the biggest thing also is just to have something that you look forward to every day. For some people it's just being with their kids. For some people they have dreams that they're pursuing. But if you wake up and your life feels empty, some like
Mm.
you'd get those things where some would say they're successful in whatever it is they're doing, but it's not what they want to do. Like they still feel like something is missing in their lives,
Hey,
and it's
but I
because
won't lie. I won't lie. What you're saying is true, ne? But I think
Mm,
90% of people, or maybe even more, 95% of people are in that situation, but they just not
yeah,
choosing drugs, if we have to be
Mm.
honest. Like
Some
probably
are not
10 to
choosing
maybe,
drugs.
yeah, maybe 5 to 10% of people in the world even are doing what they truly want to do, like their passions. Everyone is just
yes.
making ends meet, and then they try to do things they enjoy after work, but like their 9 to 5, 8 hours a day is gone to something they don't enjoy, but
And they
they have to
spend,
do.
and then what do? They go drink. So that's you
Yes.
see where this goes.
Mm,
So a lot of the time, once you get to a point where now you feel like you are living within purpose and you're living for something beyond just you, then it kind of makes things better. You don't drink excessively because now you're excited by other stuff except just that thing. I don't know, I'm going to go drink and smash
mm.
slay queens and all of that other stuff.
But don't
Yeah.
you think then that means that South Africa, we have a drinking problem because of the poverty and obviously, the like the rich or super rich and the poor super poor? Because like minimum wage in South Africa, like the average salary in South Africa, and when you say average, it's even crazy to say the average salary is still around 2.5 to 3,000.
Mm.
So when we're saying that's an average, we mean most people are earning that or even less than that.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when you put it that way, that person like can't make ends meet. They are always in negative because we know how expensive life is now. Like
Mm.
compared to our days, back in our days, that 3,000 can take you far. Like when
Yeah.
we were
Well.
young, that 3,000 could take. I mean, our parents at the time carried they carried us and their siblings on 3,000. But today, oh, I don't know how.
Inflation.
Yeah, today it's not even. You can even say inflation, but inflation, but wait. Like thing I was telling the wife the other day that when I was growing up, bread that the bread that you go and buy at Pick and Pay or Spar, whatever that you cut
Mm.
was
The
five
big
rand.
net.
Farino,
Yeah. the baked one, yeah. And then it was 5 rand where we would go and cut it, watch it cut in the machine, and have so much fun as kids. But we didn't know that's poverty bread. But technically for us, it was nice. You
It
didn't
was
see
Yeah, but,
it was
poverty,
a
you know,
but
nice.
it was nice.
that bread
I
was
don't know, even
nice, honestly.
even even the ones that they're making today are not. I don't know why. Or people cut corners in business. The bread that they
Hmm.
cut that they bake today is not as nice as the one that we used to have. I don't know why, but growing up, that bread was the bomb. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But 5 rand that bread, and then we used to also get 5 rand, that plastic milk. Not there was like this other one that's
Oh
in a
yeah,
plastic.
It's
that
in a
1 liter
plastic, like
plastic
a
one.
refill thing.
Yeah,
Not refill. It's
It's
like
kind
a
of like,
plastic one.
no, it's not a
yeah,
refill,
it's,
like a plastic one.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It comes in like,
Yeah,
it's like a 1 liter thing, but it's in a plastic, not a bottle.
Yeah.
yeah, not the bottle. That's the one.
Yeah.
And for 10, and we used to buy 10 rand. So go to the shop, 10 rand, you get that bread, you get that milk, meaning that with that bread, we are chowing whatever, peanut butter, whatever the case. And with that milk, we can drink tea with milk, or it could even be supper, pap
Kellogg's.
and milk. Or
Hmm.
that's what 10 rand could do back then. But today, give your child 10 rand and say, go bring me bread and milk. Oh, eh,
Are you joking?
You joking?
hapana.
Even the
Today
child
your
will look
child
at
was
you
even
like you're
your
crazy.
child will come back with a half loaf. I'm telling
Mm.
you,
Even that
unless you
half
go to
loaf.
like
But
unless
even
you
the
go
way,
to the bakery and like you find a nice, fair, cheap bakery. But then even the bread there, but I remember
but
our bread, Baba, that back then it even had this this oil on it, Baba.
On the
I was
bottle
yeah.
mm,
from the
Jwag.
baking tray. Everything was nice.
Exactly, exactly. And you always wanted it straight out of, you always trying to get the one that's fresh because Baba, that
yeah,
that
the one that
oil
just
at the
came out of the
bottom.
oven.
Yeah, that bread was the bomb, Baba.
You
Yo,
reminded me of something. And it's funny because
ah,
now when we look at it, we realize now is that was poverty living right there.
it
But it was
was,
proper,
it
but it
was,
was
but
proper
the
poverty
quality of food
living.
was better at least. Like I'm saying, that bread
It
is
was
difficult to
bearable, yeah.
find now, Baba. Now when you go and buy this bread, it's stale. All of it is stale. Like when you cut it, it's like the machine. You even scared to cut it because when that machine cuts that bread, your slices come out broken
And
and they
they don't
can't
Yeah, they
even
stick
come
come
out
out
together.
smashed.
even.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, I don't know what's happening with the bread. But yeah, I went on a tangent, but I wanted just to say that the alcohol, I think, is linked to poverty and our
Not
lives
just
in general.
poverty.
Not that much. Like the
Because
way alcohol prices have risen, Harry. Sorry, but the way alcohol prices have risen. Remember when we were fresh out of high school, you could
Mm.
with 200 bucks you could literally buy 2 bottles of Russian beer and two 2 liter Coke with just 200 bucks. You don't need that much. Nowadays you
Mm.
can't even buy 1 bottle of Russian beer for that same price. So the price of alcohol as well has increased.
But it
but
hasn't changed the consumption. That's what we are arguing
the consumption has actually gone up, and it's not
there.
just poverty. There are rich people who also drink. Some in
No,
excess.
I'm not saying that, but remember what
Mm,
I said when we started. I said there are people with money do drink. Let's not get that
mm,
wrong. But
Mm.
they often drink in moderation.
yeah.
They don't over
You
drink.
don't overdo it. It's
Yeah.
not like I can say in the hood. I know that there's a saying in the hood that ibhodlela meleliwe. We don't go to sleep until the alcohol is finished.
Yeah.
Ngamanye amagama. Whereas
No.
when in the richer in the more wealthy communities, they don't mind keeping a bottle or they don't mind stopping when they all had enough. Whereas in the
Exactly.
hood, it's become excessive. I don't know if you guys read that stat from early in the year where they said between Christmas and the 1st of January, South Africans spent close to 6 billion just on alcohol
I'm not
for just that
surprised.
week.
But see, that's the thing. We go back to we go it goes back to this thing where like now we the way we the way we even talk about drinking, like if you see the things that people post on social media about drinking, it's almost as if now like drinking is like life. Like we wake up and live to drink. You know,
Mm.
people will spend excessive amounts of money on alcohol. We understand, yes, sometimes you're impoverished, but you can't be in poverty and spending like 3 grand on liquor.
Hey, I
Um,
feel
Yeah.
like I feel like at this point I need to school Jwaha the way I school my wife. But I need to, and when I school it, I'm like, you guys tend to think I don't know how to say this to sound in a nice way, but you are privileged with how you think, if that makes sense. You let's say in terms of, let's say, I don't want to make it an intelligence thing, but it's gonna sound blunt if I say it. But in terms of um IQ, whatever, you tend to be on the higher end of the IQ spectrum. So when you see how people talk about alcohol, to you it's like, but there's no need for this thing. This thing's a waste. But to a lot of people who don't operate with your same IQ level, they don't see a problem with it. They think it's a vibe. Do you get what I'm saying?
mhm.
And it tends to go to that thing that I'm saying, which is sometimes there's people with high IQ expect a lot from people who don't think that far about things. They just want to enjoy the moment. So, for example, when you think about drinking, you think about what it can distract you from doing. Like you will be like, "Ish, but if I drink, I can't work on music. I can't finish this thing. I can't what." You think of those things that alcohol is gonna prevent you from doing because you want to do it. You wanna be focused, whatever. But someone who's drinking does not think like that. They think for them drinking is a vibe.
Yeah, they think
Yeah.
for the now, in other
So,
words.
which, like I said earlier on, is because in most cases they don't have something to look forward to or that gets them excited apart from drinking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not a lack of understanding. It's just we can see this with the cycle that we're in. If there's nothing that excites you besides drinking, that's the only thing you're going to do.
But it's
That's why
linked to
you
poverty, Baba. That's what we tell you.
yeah, it can be linked to poverty, yes, to an extent, and it also is linked to a lack of purpose beyond just living
You
and
you know
breathing.
why I say it's linked to poverty, and I feel like maybe we need to understand this a bit better. Buffett, there
Yeah.
are people who play soccer, let's say soccer. There are people who DJ like Joaha. There are people who do all these other things now, who are not as smart as or not as talented, but they work so hard that they make it into that industry or
Mhm.
they make it to become professionals, etc., just by dedication. And they may not have that talent, but they work hard at it, right? But working hard to get something that is difficult to attain is difficult for the average person.
Mhm,
They find it difficult. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you saying purpose, ne? But now picture yourself in the when you say purpose. When you say purpose, you are a dedicated guy who will drive even if that purpose kills you, ne? You're gonna
mhm,
push to it. But don't the average person won't think like that. The average person won't push purpose like that, even if they may have some sort of a purpose. They also want to enjoy. They'll feel like, but I want to enjoy life, man, because this thing I'm trying to open doors is not opening. Like no door is opening, and I want to enjoy life. You see,
mhm.
Mhm.
and that's why I'm saying that sometimes poverty, ne, what poverty does, which is an unfortunate thing, is that when poverty does, it puts you in a cycle where it kills your purpose, your dreams, or your will to work hard. That's what poverty does. Because you are worked hard in Bas Johnny's office. When you get home, you know that getting your dream is difficult. So you're like, but I need downtime. I need to relax. And then you drink.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's the only part of your life at that point that just gives you some form of relief. That
Yeah. Because
yeah,
Buffett, life is hard. People want to
yeah, we
enjoy
know.
life.
Yeah,
We
we
know
know that
that,
people want to
that we've
enjoy life.
established. We
Yeah.
that one we know very well that I am. There are times when you just feel like we can't anymore, but there's something that just says no, I'm not brave enough to kill
Mm.
myself.
And you must remember,
Also,
you, Joacha, I want to highlight this, that your purpose, you are lucky. You are actually lucky in that your purpose is music, and you live with music. You can live with music almost 24 hours, right?
Mm.
But other people can't do the thing they're passionate about during the week or whatever the case may be. Some of them have to just wait for it on the weekend because
yeah.
that's when they actually have the time to do it during the day. And then in the weekday, they're waiting for the weekend to
Yeah.
get a chance to do what they enjoy. Because what if someone out there really loves golf? Let's say someone out there really loves golf. Golf at night? Hey, let's be realistic.
They'll get Bamban Kunzi fast
You
whilst you're
see?
leaving it.
So then during the week, you'll come back from work you don't like. You'll sit at home. You won't know what to do because you're waiting for the weekend to at least try do what you like.
Mm.
Mm.
You see?
But there's also that thing, like um as well as people, like you say, sometimes they have to wait until the weekend, but sometimes you just want to escape even your
Mm.
home situation, depending on how your home situation is, because not every home
Exactly.
situation is the same. When you meet people, you find out that somebody you meet at maybe at a tavern or somewhere, that
Mm.
person, since he came from work, he's gone straight to the tavern. He doesn't really want to go home at the moment because the home
Yeah,
situation is as well toxic.
that's
So
another one.
certain people like run away. I'm not saying everyone does it, but certain things, like certain situations where you just want to relax, maybe switch your mind off, not
Mm.
go home because you know when it's home it's gonna be more problems. You've just
Your
come
wife
from
tricks
problems with
slams
Bad
you and shit.
Johns, you know.
Exactly. It's like us
So
growing up.
there are
We
many
always
reasons.
we always used to go and visit the child who had money because we were just hoping good there for lunch to summer us.
You also did that.
I'm telling you, yes.
Yo,
We were
I
hoping
forgot
with
to
the
make you
family and
do things. I'm telling
with,
you.
well, because you knew you at home you were hungry. Then you have to
Yeah.
make a plan. So you were hoping with maybe the rich kids, their parents will be like, "Hey guys, come grab some
I'm
sandwiches." You're
just
like,
some
yes,
yes.
yes, Baba.
Funny
This is what
because
I'm here for. Actually, I'm not here for John. I'm here for the snacks.
we used to do that
So
with white people. Like
And white
with the
people are
white
fun.
I'm telling you, you'd go knowing that these kids, white people eat 3 times a day,
yeah,
sometimes more. So you knew
Yeah.
that if I'm there early enough, like they won't go too long without chowing. Then they're gonna eat. Then you know that I am sorted because they won't demand you food. Sometimes they do, but generally they
yeah,
won't.
yeah. And it's
Like
what
Mm.
that
Sly
was
is
actually funny.
explaining. When it's
Yeah,
you go outside to kind of solve
Your
your
issues
problems
at
at
home.
home. Yeah.
yeah, that one is true. Yeah.
So you have to also factor in that. But yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of
So
so I think to summarize on your topic, I think we do have a drinking the culture in South Africa is not great and it's not a good thing. And I think we do have a drinking problem, but it's linked to something that
Mm.
the government has to try and resolve. So
yeah.
unfortunately, Baba, like that and I think if you have to if we have to highlight it, we have to kind of like think about where drugs and alcohol is often most prevalent. Is it often most prevalent in rich neighborhoods, wall of neighborhoods, or is it
Mm,
in the neighborhoods that are like poverty stricken? So if you go to America, do the white people they often have drinking problems? Or is it oftentimes
mm,
and drug or is it oftentimes like trailer white people or the hood white people black people, those kind of things. South America, same story. India, I think, is a bit different because they're often driven by religion. So I think
yeah.
that one might be different there.
No, I hear you. That's the same conclusion I came to. It's similar vibes because the thing is, it's hard to judge where the actual issue is or what actually needs to be solved without maybe some sort of assistance from the government. Also, knowing where the prevalent, because I don't think it's just in South Africa. I think the drinking culture in the world is quite extremical, especially with drugs. Like, what's the cause of it for people to focus more on drinking?
Mm.
more on
But
posting, on
apparently, we are
alcohol.
one of the worst in the world in
Yeah, we
terms
are
of.
Yeah.
top five. Yeah.
But at the same
What?
time, we also top one. We're number one in terms of the wealth gap
Yeah,
between. So it kind of speaks to that, I think.
yeah.
Hey, Bafethu. But anyway, let's move on from East Dagwa. So let's move. Let's. I wanted to chat about. I think we started chatting about this, but the whole thing of why do older men tend to like their younger girls? Like you'll find a 40-year-old man with a 23-year-old, whatever. Sometimes a similar story to the women older women or with the younger guys, and then obviously we vice versa. Why are the young people also interested in the older people? What do you guys think about that?
From my own experience,
Aish, batate boy.
I hope myself will never do that.
Babulale.
But when I was younger, older women, God, okay, older women, older women,
Mm,
older
Yeah.
women, nobody, okay, let me just say this, their peers don't always want them. And I'm saying this now being one of those people who I'm at the age that the older women were when I was trying them as a 22-year-old, 22, 23-year-old, right?
mm,
So I mean, at that age, their peers didn't really want them because a lot of the time they had kids by this age, they had a lot of baggage, and then the young ones, we went there for the experience. Like, as a young guy, you know that you're not gonna suffer.
mm,
It's easy. Then as you get older as a guy now, you start to get your priorities in order. Like now, at my age now, obviously I'm not gonna want a woman my age because I still want kids, for example.
mm,
And there's no 30 something year old woman that's going to want to give me the 4 kids that I want. Most of them will tap out after one. Most of them already have kids and they're dealing with all sorts of drama and baby
mm,
daddies and all of that nonsense. Come on, they have their own trauma from 17 different failed relationships that they're going to bring into mine. So that day comes with a lot of drama and admin and naturally leads to problems as time goes on because people then have unresolved issues.
mm,
Younger, on the other hand, you get if you like get yourself a 24-year-old who probably has maybe one or two failed relationships, not too bad. You grow with that person.
Yeah.
Because as a guy, also you need to get your stuff in order. So we mature as we get better as we get older because then that's when our life starts to come together financially,
Mm.
puts us in a better position to
But
date.
can I just quickly add something? I think there was a podcast that I had them say something similar on,
Mm.
where they explained that from women's peak ages are from a woman's peak age is basically between 20 and 25.
Mhm.
And when I mean is peak ages, we mean like that is when, like, we mostly that's when they put on a pedestal, they can have kids, they can
mm,
have all
Mm.
these things. They don't have that much baggage when it comes to it. Once they hit like 30, they found that with women, there's a steady decline. And then once guys normally and with guys, it's the opposite. Between your 20s and your 30s, you're normally broke. You're 20-year-old, you're trying to find yourself in the world. You don't know much, you don't have much. Not all of us, but some of us, where you're starting off afresh. And when you hit your 30s, they found that their value increased because now they have money, they have a place in the world. So they said in that study that they found women's value is linked to if they can pay, they can have children, what they have, their innocence as well. Whereas how many failed relationship, how much baggage you have as an individual.
mm,
And then so it's easier for a guy who's like 30, 40 to go after someone who's 21, 22 because they have the money, they basically have their life figured out, and they can now plan on having kids and stuff like that in a more with someone who doesn't come with as much baggage as maybe someone as their age, because they found that someone with as when women get older, some of them unfortunately they say they do lose the ability to have kids, where I think the womb shrinks or something shrinks. I'm not sure.
mm,
But the
Something
older they
shrinks.
get, yeah, I'm not
But
high.
you guys are going into this deep, man. Let's go into the psychology of that person. Like
um,
of an old man. Why would an old man, like let's say an old man, he met, let's say, a lady his age, and let's say they are happily married or whatever the case may be. Why would that guy choose then to go for a younger lady?
But fresh.
fresh.
Guys, there has to be more
That's
answers.
what we basically say. That's what we basically saying in a lot
But
of
you must
words.
But
also
he doesn't
understand,
need
right?
that. We're talking from a guy who doesn't, like, Jwaga said one of the reasons is to bear kids, whatever the case may be.
Mm.
But in this case, that guy has kids. Oftentimes
Also,
these girls who meet these rich guys, those guys already have enough kids. They just want fun time.
But
they're more
also
fun.
remember that as guys, right? Like naturally, I don't want to say we're perverts, but we're naturally inclined to chase after women. Like
Yeah,
that's our thing. You can be married, you'll still go after women naturally. Obviously, it's a choice thing from person to person, but we're
yeah.
naturally attracted to women. So every time with the younger women, especially, they're a lot more attractive than their older counterparts, if we have to be honest.
Mm.
Mm.
So whether or not we have kids, we will see a younger woman and you'll still want to smash that because I mean you're looking at it and you're like, oh yes, this is what it's like. This is what it's like on the what do you call it in the land of milk and honey. You'd like a taste from that well. So naturally, as men, that's how we are. We'll always be on that where we want the younger, the fresher woman.
Yeah.
Even when you are 60, or you look at your 60 something year old wife, and then you look at a 24-year-old, and you'll still see the 24-year-old as more attractive, even though you love your wife. It's not to say you don't love your wife, but you seeing the 24-year-old as more attractive because
And
most of them
also, men are more visual than women, so
exactly.
the visual part also helps. If she looks attractive and it helps. Not that we're not saying that the older counterparts aren't. They don't look okay. They don't look as nice as the younger counterparts. But I feel also for women it's the same because now there's also a trend of 40-year-olds going after 22, 24-year-old.
That's because the
I
50-year-olds
mean,
don't want that.
I'm just trying to understand the where this thing comes from, because I don't get it.
It's
Like
visual.
I get what you guys were saying there. It's visual, whatever the case may be. But like I don't know. I'm struggling to get it. I don't get it, man.
And also, man, and I don't know how to say this next part PG. Hey, it's very hard for me to say this next part PG. But also the body mechanic, the way the body looks for a 24-year-old and a 50-year-old are not the same. 24-year-olds, they perky, man. Everything is still in place. 50-year-olds, there's a decline unless they've had work done. But the bodies, there's a decline.
Because here's my thing. Here's my what I'm asking now. What people tend to say is that okay, men will cheat with a younger girl, and you guys are saying perky. But then younger men cheat with an older girl who they feel they find that person attractive as well.
It's an easy
So
smash.
Yeah.
no, man, Jwag.
No, it's the truth
Okay. But
because
remember,
remember that when you're a woman who's like 23, 24, you have a lot more options, right? And most of the time you're not gonna entertain. Okay, let me just say for some women or the general female population, you're not gonna entertain the Malamban who's 23 who's still trying to get his life together. You want someone who's older, who's at least got some direction in their life, i.e., the 30 something year old, right?
Mm.
Then, when as the 24-year-old, what options do you have as a 24-year-old guy? The 40-year-old one who's willing to give it to you because you're showing her some attention.
Yeah. You guys will tell me some interesting things here. But I would me personally, how I used to think of it is um especially let me speak for the younger ladies. I used to think that they want an older guy because, like I think Jocha touched on it, good, they tend to be set. They have the
Yeah.
monies, like everything that it's like ideally they would like the 23-year-old guy who they want to have fun with to be set, but that guy's still starting out, so they're hustling,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
hmm,
But what tends to happen is that um what can I say? They tend to go for the guy who can give them everything they want at a young age.
Mm,
So they go
Yeah.
for that older guy who, even if doesn't look appealing, but the money is the panty dropper. So
mm,
that's the person that they want, just because I think I often said this, but people tend to debate me because I often say men and women have natural instincts or natural natures to them, and people tend to say no. Because I was speaking to this one girl, she said no. What tends to happen is that, so you remember the topic we had previously when we were talking about that you we didn't understand why we were attracted to booty and stuff like that when we were
Yeah.
younger,
mm.
going through puberty and stuff like that. It didn't make
Even now.
sense to us, etc. Yes, and she
Mm.
said when she discussed it with her peeps, they said from their perspective, society, the imagery that we've been seeing in society is the one that has made us drive to that. And what I used to argue to her is that, but back in our days, media was not the same as it is
Mm,
today. So if you're talking about people, the kids of today, sure, because they have phones, they see about Cardi B and then those ones I get. But in our day, technically, what was considered sexy in terms of media was skinny and boobs.
mm. The
That
model
was
type,
Yeah.
that was considered sexy in our days.
but we
And
like that.
growing up, you there wasn't like the porn wasn't accessible, right? Like you
It
couldn't
wasn't
really
Mm,
easily
access porn.
accessible.
But what you did see is pictures. And oftentimes, why do you think back in the days we often used to say the people who were deemed sexy were people like Pamela, what is it? And is it
Pam
and
Anderson.
Pamela
Anderson?
Anderson.
Yes, because
Mm,
and etc. And back in those days, there was a big influx of boob jobs back in those
mm,
days, you know. So because that was what was considered sexy, it wasn't really um the booty thing. And and back in those days, we used to find that the black girls didn't really embrace their booty because Abo Miss South Africa were considered the most beautiful and they didn't have
mm.
it. So they
That's
didn't
Mm.
true.
really embrace it. But us,
We were
inherently,
there.
we did not care about Miss South Africa. You know, we did not
We
care about it.
knew.
You see,
We were the
and no one
trendsetters.
can say, and there was no imagery that used to say that this is nice. Like
Mm,
it used to highlight the opposite, not the opposite, but like it used to highlight boobs and small waist and all of those. But we
mm,
weren't attracted to that because I often used to say, Duty, even when you did first encounter porn, at that time it was often really white porn, right?
yeah.
But the
Yeah.
day you saw black porn, you knew, I'm
There was
done.
no going back.
There's
There's
no
no
going
going
back.
back.
For one reason,
Some
actually.
believers said that, but yeah.
Exactly, for one reason. You knew what you were going there for. You knew
Uh,
that the white people could not offer you what you wanted to see. All back then, today it's different. I think now they also more moving
Now they're
more to
catching on that age.
now it.
yeah,
Mm.
they're moving on to want embracing that the bigger the better on the
Yeah.
behind.
Mm,
So now it's different. But yeah, so wait, to my point, where were we talking about? The oh yeah, natures. So when I was talking about the natures for women, right? Oftentimes the nature is to be protected and taken care of.
yeah.
Like that is
Mm.
the first and foremost nature. And and that's why I'm saying I stand to be corrected because I get people are saying good in society drives this thing for women, good wanting protection, getting taken care of is a societal driven thing. But I often used to think, good to know, but it's nature's because
Mm,
in the wild, when the man is built to protect the wife, inherently the wife is built to want a man who's going to protect her,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the wild. And it's the same today in our day. Because today, when a skebengu barges into the door, her natural instinct is, yo, Jwaha, protect me. It won't be,
Mm,
let me protect you, Jwaha. Like her
Mm.
mm,
natural instinct was be like, yo, Jwaha, protect me in a moment of danger, you know? And that's your natural instinct. And a natural instinct of a man is to provide. Like we
And
want to
to
provide,
protect.
we
mm,
provide, protect, etc. So I'm saying from the younger girls, right? I get that they are living in my opinion, that nature. They want
Yeah.
a provider, etc. The younger guys, they can't live up to their, let's say, natures, because
Hmm.
Yeah.
like they don't have enough
At least
to
not to the
do it.
fullest extent.
Yeah, they may have the physicality, but they don't
Yeah.
have the the wealth and stuff like that. And
Mm.
then to those guys, like you say, they find the older women, but I don't know the how, because obviously, let's say the younger girls are looking for those providers, which are the older guys. Then those young guys, I don't know how they match up with the older lady.
There's okay. I feel like with that there's two parts to it. Most of the time, I feel that the older women, once they get to a certain point, for them, it's not about them providing. It's not about finding someone's gonna provide for them. They just want more, because most of the time, it's not like they do this for marriage. They just do it to smash and move on. You find it really. You hear that an older woman is getting married to someone who's young. I'm not saying that there are no
I think it's
outliers.
also linked to that thing they say. I don't know what it is, but they say women over 40 tend to be more sexually, what is it?
Yeah, more sexual because
Yeah.
they find yeah they also find
Yeah.
that young men can keep up more with them sexually as
Mm.
well. You have to put
So
that
much,
as
why can't you keep up at 40? As let me ask you that
well.
question. Just because you're old.
You need a special blue pill for the stamina, pal.
No,
At
because that's,
40.
you know why I'm asking this question is because if we say the old man, if the older lady wants the young man because the young man can go longer, then why is the old man going after the young girl?
Hey, that is
So
a I think I
the
for
old man
hey
naturally finds the young woman attractive.
No, but no, because
no, but
the
he's talking about stamina of it all, like
yeah,
getting
stamina. Because
for the round of
wouldn't
the round.
would the young girl also want stamina?
But I think with young girls, they develop their stamina late. It's a hard one. I think we need a girl for this point of view. It's a hard one. We definitely need a girl for this point
Guys,
of view.
let me just put it this way. A
I have
young
a
woman's body
I
is
have
the hill we are willing to die on. As a man. Telling you this now, you heard it from me. That's the hill
what does
I
that
I
even
got
personally am
mean?
this.
willing to die
What
on.
does that even mean?
No, it's that thing where guys will go through, well, guys will drink pills. You know those pills that have a cobra on them that you get at the garage? Guys will
Eh,
drink that thing just to be able to satisfy a
Can
young
can
woman.
I tell them what I think? Right?
Hmm.
This is my view. I need to be saying the older the woman gets, the more she wants to have like more sex, whatever the case may be. But
So
doesn't
we've
that
heard.
then say, or so we've heard, yeah. But that doesn't that say then when she's younger, she tends to want less. Less is more.
it could be that she tends to want
And
less. The
and
old
if
man
less is
can't.
more, who is going to give less?
The older man.
You see, could it then that be a factor? Because when the guys are younger, they want to do 5 rounds in 5 hours,
That's all.
and you'll find that the young girl or doesn't want that. They maybe find it painful. They're not sexually what liberated, because at the time, oftentimes when people are having sex young, they're not even having it in the confines of marriage. So there's a lot of mental, is this right? All of those things are
Yeah,
going on.
Sometimes they don't even know what they enjoy.
Exactly.
yeah.
So, but the guy is really there.
We
She's
already
really,
know.
you know. But even the guy at that point doesn't know what he's doing. He's just copying everything he's seen in porn movies or videos.
Yeah,
So he's
we
just
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 trying to
going with
do
it.
exactly.
going with the flow, seeing what works.
Exactly. And then to an older lady who wants to now experience all of that and more, then that's you meeting your match. And then with the older guy who just he was like, hey, me, I have 1 round in me. And the girl's like, hey, that's more, that's what I need. The young girl's like, hey, I don't need more than one kind of thing. Then maybe that's the matchup. Maybe that's the
It's
matchup
also the matchup. I think one of the things it is the matchup, and also uh, an older guy will probably know how to please the younger girl more, whereas the older woman can teach the younger man also what to do in order to please a woman.
That's
Hmm.
actually an interesting point
Yeah.
You know.
because it's actually something that we do experience. I don't know about you guys, but yeah.
But I don't know, and I'm gonna ask this from I'm being ignorant here.
Mm.
Older men, and I'm going to. That's why I'm saying I'm being ignorant. Do we not think that older men don't care at that age? They don't have time to um
Yeah,
I
I think
think they
entertain.
some it depends on the individual. I think some
But
do care.
let's talk majority. I need we talk. We're not talking all because not
Yeah.
but
everyone
then
has sex the same way. There are
Mm.
some people who are more interested in the other person's pleasure. There are others who are more interested in their own play. But now let's talk majority. Do majority of older men really care if
but then
like
also let's discuss the issue of older men quickly, because in our 30s we are older men compared to our
So
22, 23
okay,
old
let's define.
counterparts.
Okay, I
but
think we need
but
to
we are
define
still
older
considered
men.
young. We are still
Because
considered young.
yeah, because like now at our ages, okay, let me speak for myself. Making sure that my woman is sorted, that for me is a thing, right? But I can guarantee you in my 50s, that will be the least of my concerns because I could
And
die
that's
one
what
day
we were talking
anyway.
about.
That's
Yeah,
And
what
but
that's
we
then
what
I
we were
think
talking
yeah.
about. We are
we
talking
need to
about
establish
when
at
you
which point.
that's why we're saying
So,
you are still considered young. So the fact that you are thinking like this is still the young version. Because even the young guy, think of yourself at 20. You are still wanting the same thing you are talking about now. It's just that now you
yeah.
know how to do it better
Hmm.
than what you knew back
Mm.
then. But when you maybe clock 40 and onwards,
But
you will
I
not care. And at that point, when you have money and all of those, you don't have you don't have time to impress them. You have the money.
Mm.
Like
I
I'm
don't think
fine.
it's not so much about impressing them. I think it's also there has to be an element of where you wanna get it done as quick as possible, not
Mm.
necessarily stand around or dance
Wallet.
around trying to impress.
No,
Not quick, not as in like when I mean quick, I don't mean like 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
no, but
I mean like
Sly,
a
this is
round
what
or
we're
two.
saying. When you are young, you don't wanna leave knowing good to you just landed and someone else is still asking themselves how has the journey even started.
Mm.
Your
For you,
reputation is
that's
reputation.
exactly when you are young. But when you're older, you don't care if someone has arrived. It's like me, I've arrived. That's all I care about.
Everyone must see themselves. Exodus.
Exactly. And that's what we are. That's what I'm saying. When you're older, eh, Baba, if the girl has not arrived, that's her
Now that's
problem.
a business.
Eh,
Take it up with the ombudsman or something.
see,
I'm gonna take it up with you. Oh,
she won't because she you're basically you have money,
mm.
so she will even fake it if she needs to at that point.
I guess
Do you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying. I'm just trying to look for the words.
Huh?
Because
Where are you looking for them?
I don't even know anymore.
Just so we understand and we're on the same page.
you know
I
because
don't even.
I because that's why I'm saying it's a difficult one. Because then it's like, because you know why I'm saying it's a difficult one. Because for us, let's talk about ourselves. Technically, not technically, we will reach these stages, right?
Mm.
Or
Mm.
of life. But then when we reach our 40s, let's say Joacha, you were with your partner now. When you reach your 40s, do you get that you'll reach this world, this realm where the the lady wants more or you don't really that's not you are obviously everyone differs but we're talking in general the woman wants more the guy doesn't really care about doing 5 rounds whatever and you are
Mm.
now in that predicament.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't care, honestly. I think I'll get to that point where it's just like, hey, you know what? Everyone is responsible for their own orgasm. No, but it's true
Hey
because
well, this
remember
is how
also,
a young guy ends up in your house.
yeah, but I
But
mean,
thing
for
is,
it to be,
at the
it
moment they are
happened.
toys, right? Are
But
they
also,
not toys?
Toys are not the
toys,
same.
which
Or
40
maybe for now, let's say for now, we don't know what the Japanese are creating. So
yeah, next thing is like another sex. They're like those sex dolls. They might make those for women as well. But another
women
thing we
already
need
have
to take into
enough.
account.
Women have women have things that are more realistic than what guys have. Yeah.
Seriously, like what? Like just the
Yes.
building.
There's more things to that, Baba.
Because I
You'll
know
be
that guys have
surprised.
those sex dolls, but they have like it's an actual doll with a hole in it that
But
lubricates
it's not
itself.
a cake. That's the thing.
Hmm.
It's a plastic
It's not the
cake.
real thing.
It's not, but
See?
it's not. It will not feel this. That's why I'm saying there will come a time when the Japanese create a replica of the original, and that's where
Yeah,
the problem is. That's where the women will start having problems because now there will be a lot of single men because they'll be covered. They'll just have to throw the thing in the dishwasher, and it will come out fine. Then they go back the next day.
yeah. There
I-
are people already doing that. I don't. People are already doing that. People are already
Yeah.
doing that. I saw some video where they were showing like a shelf full of them in some factory. I don't know where this
Hmm.
thing is. They're in a
And
dog
these
style
things will
position.
yeah, these things will advance more and more. I think it's also about visual. So you will be able to buy what visually um you enjoy
Stimulates.
visually. Exactly. So
Yeah.
eh,
So you see, we're going in
we are
that
living in a
direction.
tough era, baba.
But then I
That's
think,
why the population will die eventually because of these robot things.
Unless we go to war.
but also,
What do
guys,
you think?
don't you think that it's? I think it'll only get to that point if, because of the way things have become in terms of relationships and all of that nonsense, it's becoming increasingly unrealistic to keep
What do
up
you
with
mean?
people's demands. So,
Oh,
like
it means
now,
like relationships are not what they used to be.
yeah. So you get now people are demanding things that their own parents couldn't provide for them. You
Mm,
can tell, all right. The way people are operating, they're operating as if they come from extreme poverty. And now
Not
with
even
this,
extreme poverty. Entitlement is the word I'd prefer to use.
yeah, so everybody's tired from both men and women's side. So some people are
Mhm.
just feeling like, hey, let me just even that's why even brothels are getting a lot more like brothels have always been big, if we have to be realistic. Sex work has always
mm,
been the thing. But now even like really and it wasn't as big among the very young guys, but now it's like huge. Because guys are
Mm.
realizing that I pop my hundred
and
bucks
even
for a
worse
round.
now that there's gonna be prep that you guys just have to drink 2 pills and you don't get
You're saying there's
HIV.
Yeah.
going to be that thing already exists. People have been drinking that thing for years.
No, there's a new one. I get that you only have to drink it twice a year, every six
Twice
months.
a year.
You
Yeah,
not
you
just I
see.
get the new prep you have to drink the night. I think it's
Mm.
the night before.
The
If
night
you're
before.
going to if you're going to engage in
Uh,
unprotected, but there's a new one that's coming out where you have to drink a pill every 6 months and then you won't contract HIV.
you see. So now they know that. Now we know that you go there, you get your prep, you get your 300 bucks or 400 bucks for a couple of rounds. You know that you're not going to be asked for anything else beyond that what you are
Exactly.
charged at that
Yeah.
point.
Mm.
No false rape accusations, no
And that's a big
surprise.
one.
Yeah, no surprise 10,000 rent
Mhm.
demands in the morning. All of that nonsense that comes with it.
Mavosa.
Mm.
Also,
Mm.
yeah.
Mavosa. I used to think that was only a South African thing until I saw someone post about it on the USA.
How?
Yeah, these surprise sellers are hey, they'll deal with you
Yeah,
decisively.
it's
Right?
the hey, are you joking?
And the
It's no
USA
longer
doesn't play. They do it to famous people. Nabo Shannon Sharp are
hmm.
basically doing Mavuso Vel.
It was Mavuso Vele that was Shannon
Mm.
Sharp, what they did to Shannon
It's
Sharp.
Mavuso, but that cost 50 million. Baba. Eh?
Imagine.
He's a celebrity, that's why.
Yeah,
Imagine,
but oh, yeah.
you know, it cost him his job with ESPN on top of that.
You see, this is
I,
why I'm now a changed man. Now I can't afford these things.
But I look at it, even Flabam, even not Flab, listen, even DJ Fresh went through the same thing.
mm.
Aye.
With yeah, DJ Fresh went through when he lost his
About
thing.
euphonic and fresh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when they were accused of
Mm,
rape
they're accused
on
of rape.
that
But
cruise
these
ship.
guys also Nabo, they how can I say? I feel like celebrities sometimes they move too powerfully, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Like when I say you move too powerfully, I feel like sometimes they take their power for granted. And when I say
Mm.
take the power for granted, you need to check your X's and O's. Get your things sorted. There are celebs out there that sign NDAs. Why?
Yeah,
Every
they
girl they
are.
sleep with, there's an NDA, baba. Would you consent? Today we're going freaky, baba. Angifuni umuntu
Yeah.
ozongicomplain.
You
Then you're
sign
like, I
it.
consent. You sign,
But
you move
sometimes,
on.
sometimes they sign it and then they'll still take these things out, even
You
if
Yeah,
it
but
is
then
can't.
an
now
NDA.
You can't. You
now you're
can't.
screwing
If
yourself when you do that.
Yeah, you
Mm.
can't. You will be sued, bro, for that NDA. You
Mm.
can be sued for. But a lot of the people who are like the DD cases, there's no NDAs there. The people who have NDAs a lot of the times are the celebs, not like the what you call the what can I say? The people who just had sex like what can I say, by invitation but didn't really
Yeah.
sign an NDA. Those are the people opening cases. But the
Mm.
NDA people know, Baba. Good. But
And now
technically,
the
I,
thing
I
is,
guess you're right that if the law comes in, then they can
but if you
overturn.
sign an if you sign an NDA, just that they can't use that as you can't use that as evidence, because you basically some NDAs they state that if you open a case that this is not whatever you state or whatever you say cannot be used against them in the court of law. Not all
Yeah.
of them. Some are just they will just take it out as an accusation against you if they want to cost you like your career. Because
Mm.
with the one with Fresh and Euphonic, they were found innocent, but it still leaves that tarnishing on your name.
There's a
If you
series
get
you
what
must
I'm
watch.
saying.
There's a series you must watch. It's just one episode. I don't think it might still not. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or something. But I think I've told you about this one where there's a guy who he's a boss of a company, and a girl like seduces the boss, whatever, and then wants to sleep with him. Um, and they basically sleep. They have sex together. Sharp. The next day, police come to that guy's office. They arrest him. He's like, "How, guys? What did I do?" And then they're like, "You raped this girl." He was like, "Who?" I was like, "I didn't rape her. We had consensual sex." Then she's like, "The girl said you raped her." And then they're like, "What's worse? You are her boss, so you probably use your power or whatever the case." I think it's best you watch it because I think I'm not saying everything. I'm not justifying making what
Mm.
I'm saying like talking about it correctly. But in the end, what I wanted to get at is in the end, they realized that there's actually not enough evidence that proves that that girl was right. And there was evidence that this girl has done it to someone, another wealthy person before,
So
right? I-
So she
it's a
was
Yeah,
it's
habit.
so
one of
they
those
they put
things.
yes, but it wasn't her, it was her friend, if that makes sense. So like
Mm.
her friend did it to a wealthy person, and then the friend was like, we got the money, let's go have a nice holiday. And then this one now did it. Do you see?
Mm.
So then it
Mm.
was like they were like, hey, Yabanala, like the friend had this case, now this one has this case. And after this case, they went, instead of like someone being depressed, their friend being depressed, they went and had a fun holiday after the payout. Then they're like,
It
something
was a
is fishy.
party.
But they didn't have evidence to say the girl trapped the guy, and there was
Mm.
not enough evidence to say the guy raped the girl, because there was a lot of stuff in that case that was like, hey, doesn't make sense. So then they like, you know what, there's not enough evidence,
Mm.
so the we we leave in the case. They basically didn't say he's not guilty,
They didn't
and
say
they
it's not
didn't.
innocent. But
Yeah,
what?
so then
Mm.
what happened in the end, what the guy then said, he's like, okay, guys, now that you've done this, right? Now that you've done this and you're saying I'm not guilty, whatever. He's like, but you do realize you dragged me out of my office and you called me a rapist. So at my office, because you guys were saying I'm not, it's like there's no proof. You are not saying I'm innocent. So at the office, I'm still guilty.
Yeah.
So he was like, what? And then he explained that back in the past, what happened to his aunt's place is that they thought there's like something illegal happening at the aunt's place. So then they broke into the police broke into the aunt's place and they trashed the whole place. When they saw that what they were looking for is not there, they replaced everything that they trashed in the aunt's place. So he was like, can you guys please do for me what you did for my aunt's place? Return everything at my office back to where it was. And when I say return, I want you guys to come to my office and tell everyone at my office that I'm not guilty. Then the police was like, ah, that's not our job. We don't have evidence to even say you're not guilty. Like there's not evidence for anything. Then the
Mm.
guy was like, but then you guys were leaving me in a position where everyone still thinks I'm guilty.
Yeah, that's where the issue that I had with that comes in,
Mm.
and
So
that's
it
why I
was an
said like
interesting thing.
fresh and Ufana went through the same thing. I don't know now how people see them, or because they end up getting a restraining order
I
and
didn't
stuff.
really know about those stories, so I didn't even view them as
Mm.
guilty because I don't know those
No,
stories.
they were just accused. Like this, I think they something happened, but it was consensual. And then this lady, I think she got. Conja, who's that? Who's that girl, man? That one. Conja, I forget the person who broke the story.
Mm.
And then this
Hey, but
girl
it's
came
crazy.
forward and said they're that fresh and euphonic raped her.
It came
It's
out.
like that Toles Mo one as well.
Mm.
Yeah. The one with the fresh and euphonic thing, some other girl, like some people will come out and be like, ah, this girl is crazy because, and it was
The
allegedly
stories
taking her
didn't.
clothes. They're
Yeah, the
like, ah,
stories
this
didn't
girl
make
is crazy.
sense.
There's no such.
It was similar to
So
the Toles Mo one. Hey, but the
But with
Toles Mo
them,
one
they
broke.
end up getting a restraining order and stuff like that. And then, but it's still fresh still left Kaya. It was at Kaya or 5FM at that time. I think it
Probably
was
five.
Kaya.
I think it was 5 FM.
Probably
I'm not
Yeah,
five.
sure.
'Cause that's more the white station.
yeah.
Yeah.
He
And
had to
then
leave. He had to leave that radio station now. Which then he hasn't been on radio since. I don't know now. But
I
once after that story, he didn't go back to radio because if he even kept saying people are just ringing him for that thing, even
mm,
euphonic.
and the sad
Like
part is that once somebody labels you, somebody accuses you, whether or not it's true. I watched there's a series I used to watch called Billions. So
yeah.
there's this other lawyer on Billions, he's like a bit of a crooked lawyer, but he's good. He says that people love rumors and speculation. Somebody can just whisper that Mandla F the goat. Even if the goat denies it, Mandla will still go to the grave as Mandla the goat F. So once that word is out, or that you cannot unring that bell,
Yeah.
yeah.
you
Hey,
cannot
that's the
unring that
life.
bell.
Mm. And then maybe let me ask this question: is that because we're living in the modern day era, where the women are starting to earn a lot, like the way the world is working is going now,
Mm.
women are going to basically run corporate, like in
Yeah.
essence, they're going to run corporate. And because of that, there's going to be a shift in the life dynamics, meaning that men are going to find themselves more in situations where they are with women who out earn them, in essence. And when that's the case, that it will shift the dynamic of the house.
Mm.
So here's my question: that because that's going to shift, meaning that women are technically now going to be wearing the pants, how do you think it's going to drive society? Because then it then says that men are going to have to take the lower position, but can men handle taking the lower position?
Hey,
Uh,
that one is a tough one. Because
it's
remember that how our natures are as men, especially.
Mm.
So, and given what's been happening with those type of relationships, a lot of them don't work out
yeah,
because
chef. They
now,
don't last. They don't
yeah,
last.
a lot of them don't work out because then now what happens is that now there's it's not, I don't want to say an imbalance in power, but the situation is just uncomfortable for everyone. Because now as a man, instinctively you want to be that person in the position where you are the one who's doing for the family.
But if
But
it's
now,
the future, what must happen?
But
yeah,
here's
but
the
remember the future and your nature as a human being. The future can be
but
the future, but at the same time, we are genetically predisposed to be those providers.
no,
So
but I
it will take a while before we get to that point where maybe say men are comfortable in those situations. Maybe 2 or 3 generations down the line, but
mm,
not now.
but here's a question. I think we spoke something similar on one of the earlier episodes.
Mm.
Well, I'm not sure if it was with you. Yeah, I think there's a situation where we spoke similar. I'm not sure. Yeah, basically, there was a situation that was, I think, that happened where a guy a younger guy meets a girl, moves in, the girl is earning sharp, sharp, but the woman then starts to be controlling. And I get that we head in that direction, but women also then would have to adjust where they are. And I feel like on the women's side, they don't have that adjustment on their side as quick as maybe men will adjust because they would want a provider. Someone's gonna provide, and if you're not
Mm.
providing, they'll be like, you are useless to me, and then they would want to control the entire situation without allowing basically the maybe the guy to run the household or to do the other side of his nature or the other side of running a household.
Mm.
Besides that conflict of interest, I think also it has to be a balance from both sides. That's why I say even women would have to adjust to being the provider
Mm.
in the family. With because I don't think many women right now are capable of being providers. Not all of them, but many are not capable of being a
Hey,
provider
what
to
do you
the
say? What do
family.
you mean? You were saying some very dangerous things there.
Like basically, there's certain things that okay, let me put like this: men and women
Clarify the statement. As you
are
live
not
with a
equal,
woman,
ne?
lapho.
Yeah?
Clarify, bro. Get to
Men and
clarify
women
the statement.
are not equal. There are
Okay.
I don't want to say gender roles, but there are roles in the household that each one does that helps the household run functionally, run and keeping a bit of the peace.
Mm.
Once you disturb that ecosystem, right, and one gets more power than the other, and the other then starts, there's this thing where they start to step on what the other one can do now. And you need to find then bring back to something of a balanced situation, you know, to find that equilibrium. I don't want to say balance, yeah, equilibrium, where the functions that my functions are my functions, but how
Mm.
my well, the woman's functions are their functions. If they're earning more and they then become the provider, what is my role and can I function and can I prosper in my role? And will they allow me to prosper in my role? So if I'm not working and I'm not providing anything, will they be, if I say I've got a job interview on Friday, are they going to help me go to the job or are they just going to be like, no, be a man, go out, borrow money, do something, you know?
I mean, it's like you were saying a lot, but I think women are doing that already. I think women are providers already. The only problem now, so I think women can provide. Let me put it to you this way. I think women can provide. It's just now we have to talk about what a woman providing means, if that makes sense. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just trying to
So
think.
are you trying to? So I think a lot of women are providing, right? They are doing a lot of because they are starting to earn more, whatever the case may be. But what a woman providing tends to mean something in the household if she's in a relationship, especially if she's providing more than a man. When I say that, especially if the woman does not give up that power of providing, if that makes sense. Because there are certain women who are making, let's say, double more than the husband, but the husband still runs the house finances. Like the woman will be like, "Oh, here's my salary, run the house finances." Then the husband does everything. So in that role, even though the woman is earning double, but technically the husband is still playing his role. But the
Mm.
women of today that we're dealing with, they don't have time for that. They know how to run the household. The only problem now is the relationship dynamics, because then if a person who runs the household, they start dictating things of the house as well, and that's where the relationship starts to clash, which goes to the point of Jwaga, the natures. Yoguti, now the man can't play his role of running the household, so he feels unappreciated, or he feels his man his manhood is being questioned. And some people may say it's an ego thing, but it's more a nature thing than an ego thing, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense.
Have you guys watched what is it, Crazy Rich Billions or something like that?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Asian. Yeah. Have you watched that
Yeah,
thing?
I've seen
I
some of it,
haven't.
not all of it.
Okay, so
Quite
there's a part of
interesting.
it where there's a woman, right? She is crazy wealthy in that show. She is crazy wealthy, but she fell in love with a guy who does not have money. But what she did is that she has just, because she's the one with the money and comes from a well-off family, she fell in love with that guy. And then she kind of put that guy in positions to excel. But because she's deemed the smart one, the whatever, he's not smart enough and he doesn't have the power to ever run like the company. So she will always be the money maker. He's doing his own things and he can use her connections, but he can't really get to her wealth. Basically a Oprah versus the other guy, or Stedman, whatever. That
Mm,
kind of situation, right? So that guy in that show, he struggled with that dynamic because he felt she runs the household, but what she would do is that she would try to act like she doesn't, right? So she would tidy herself up to submit when she gets home. But for that guy, he would feel her power whenever they left the house and stuff like that. He would always feel her power because no one cared about him. They cared about the woman, and they always treated him like he's the woman in the context of what people expect, whatever, society. So in that situation, this guy ended up cheating on that wealthy girl with another poor girl, but not poor, a girl who deems him a guy with money, who gives him the power, who he feels he has the power with that girl, if that
mm.
makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it does make sense.
And he cheated for that reason. Because he felt he feels like a man with that other girl, but he doesn't feel like a man with his wife.
He basically
Yeah.
couldn't fulfill his purpose with the wife. He
Yeah,
felt that he couldn't
he felt
fulfill
that
his
way.
purpose as a man with his wife, but with the other woman he was able to.
Because he could, it's like, how do I impress a billionaire as a
Mm.
centenary? Like he couldn't impress his wife. Like he didn't have the money to buy his wife stuff. He didn't have money to do those things. So he always felt he can't do. He's like trying to live up to his role, but he can't. And it's not wrong, it's not right what he did, because she was trying her best to accommodate him. And she, in this story, she didn't care about his situation. She just loved him in the context of the story. But that guy struggled with the dynamic of that. For him, it was more than love. It was the role. The role for him was difficult.
The natural role of being a man.
Yeah. And but now in society, what tends to happen is that the ladies, a lot of the women who now have the power, they are with a guy who doesn't have the power, and they're not giving that guy that power. But at the same time, they want that guy to do what that guy can't do for her, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Mm.
So it's then that's also the issue that the guys feel. They feel belittled by the lady, and that lady, a lot of some of the other ladies also feel like that guy is not good enough because that guy can't give them what she wants. For example, if Joachim marries a billionaire and that billionaire takes him to New York and stuff like that, and Joachim takes her to News Cafe, but that's what he can do.
That's what he can afford.
Yeah, he
And you
can't
know,
take her to Paris. And then that girl will be like, hey, Mara, I see my
But
colleagues, the husband he bought the wife a Range Rover. Where are you gonna buy the
mm.
Range Rover?
you don't even know how to buy the Range Rover to begin with.
Exactly.
You don't even know where to buy it, not even how, where to.
So this thing is actually interesting, guys, because in my own personal experience, I hope the girlfriend doesn't listen to this episode because wow. The girlfriend makes more money than I do, right? But the one thing that actually helps us function, I don't know if she knows, but I think she does. I think she does know, but then she allows me to be the man in the relationship. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, so like we're having this conversation this other time, and she was frustrated because of how, I think I did tell you guys, but there was a time when we didn't have electricity for like a couple of days, and she was pissed. So we all know how women are, right?
Mm.
So she wanted, she was saying that no, she can't live here anymore. Like she wants to move, right? And she was saying that she naturally does like qualify to live in the burbs based on how much she's making. So I specifically said to her that, look, I understand and I would love that, but I can't afford to live in the burbs, right? In as much as yes, I would love to, but I cannot afford that right now. And yeah, it was an uncomfortable conversation, but she understood. And then from there, we were fine because she could understand what level we're operating at. And she actually met me where I am, but still
Even
allowed
though
me
now
to
she's
be.
in the burbs now.
Yeah, she's in the burbs now. But
Now she's living up to her potential.
Now she's living where she wanted all along.
yeah, but this was like 6 7 months ago, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that what made it easier for me to not feel anything, like for me to not feel otherwise, was that she still allowed me to be the man in the situation. Still allowed me
Yeah.
to take care of what I would like, because like I paid most of the bills anyway. I think the only thing she did was to buy the food, and not all of it. Like she'd buy like the basics, and then now I'd cover everything.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
interesting.
see, and what you're saying is fair, ne? She allowed you to be the man, but I always say, good, you know, there's a Joacha 2.0.
2.0 how like
Who can cover those bills and more and live in the burbs?
yeah, I understand that.
And that's the reality that I think
But
the
I think
dynamics we're going to have to face going forward is that there's going to be limited 2.0s, meaning there's going to
Mm,
be very few guys who are earning more than the woman. And it's going to force the dynamics of the roles of relationships to change. Because number one, the lady can either hand over the power, even though she has it, right? She
mm.
can either hand it over, or number two, the man is going to have to submit in his role and play more of the female role because he doesn't dictate the finances.
Yeah, but I get
Because
it.
because now the women, you know, when we spoke about it, we say the woman can be the the women want to protect her and stuff like that. But
Mm.
technically now she can just live in an estate. She protects herself. So
So the security protects her rather.
that's security.
yeah, but I think
But
that's
I
for
think
she doesn't
that
need
would
you.
go with
She
the conversation that the partners have, the man and the woman.
mm.
I think with what Jocha said is correct. You need to have that conversation, no matter how hard it is, the conversation. But when you have the conversation,
You see
everyone knows where they
what
stand.
people don't get is that it's nice to say, yeah, have the conversation. You see, my therapist said have the conversation. No, guys,
The
this is
therapy.
more, we are diving more. It's not about the conversation. The conversation is words, ne? Words and actions are two different things. Now, if we're talking about people's natures are different, do you get
Mm.
Guti? The words will be nice in the beginning, but eventually someone is gonna be irritated by something. Guti, this situation, aye. And that's where the actions and the natures are speaking now. And I'm not saying the words are bad. I'm just saying
The
it's the
actions are
first
not.
the actions are what's going to drive. The words are the nice things, but the actions are what's going to drive. And a lot of the times, that's where people struggle. It's the action.
Yeah,
That one, I think it just really depends on who you have, and also don't put all your trust in human beings because that can change at any time. You know.
that is also
So
true.
yeah, but honestly, it will just depend on the kind of partner you have because certain things you won't have control over. You just hope for the best. Pray to whatever deity you believe in on a
You
regular
guys
basis.
basically just didn't give a solution. You just said, see, you people must figure out their own struggles in essence.
Because to be honest with you, there is no real solution to that. Because it always boils down to the human being, and human beings change. So a human being will be like, okay, it's fine. Just like you said, there was a 2.0. Fine, she can understand now, but we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow when the 2.0 shows up.
And then she leaves you for the 2.0 because he sees
Exactly.
like the 2.0 is the one providing what I want.
You see. So you don't know. You'll never really know. Sometimes you'll reject the 2.0 and then you live happily ever after and ride horses into the sunset. But then it's not a guarantee. You don't
I think
know. It can
yeah, I
go
think
either
with
way.
this one, there's no definite answer we can give.
Eh,
You can only give scenarios. You can't give a definite answer because there are too many variables. And yeah, there are too many variables in terms of people, emotions, and so forth and so forth. So we can't give a straight answer and say like, here's the solution, because no one solution covers all variables. Because
you
people
guys must
change.
cover. You are here to give us answers. You guys will not answer. You guys are good for nothing. Hi.
Okay, give us an answer again. Let's turn this around. You give us an answer.
Let me
And
give you
he's
an
the married
answer.
man, bro.
Let me give you the answer, guys. This is the answer. Né? The answer is that men, we're going to move in a direction where men and women are going to have to change their roles. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be the reality that we're in. And when I say men and women have to change their roles, is to talk about from the perspective that if women are going to end up being the ones who are earning more than men, etc., then the reality is that there's going to be limited men who are wealthier than women. Women are going to start earning more of the wealth. And then the men are going to, especially because we live in a technological world, we don't live in the industrial world anymore, etc. Because in the industrial world, we know why we are top of the food chain. That one we don't even have to
Mm.
explain it. Like the when you had to compare a woman going down in a mine and a man, you knew who you wanted to go down there. Not because you favored or you were discrimination. You just knew good the man can get that job done quicker and you can be more productive because it's stronger, whatever the case may be. And the woman you felt couldn't shapa big in the fosholo the whole night underground,
Hmm.
So that's the industrial. Technological, women are more disciplined. They are the ones who are more in varsity. They technically most times are the ones who are smarter. Guys just have ideas. I think guys are idea people. We may not always be the smartest, but we are the ones who are out of the box thinkers. Let me put it that way. Which is why you'll find about Elon and stuff like that, because they tend to be the risk takers, the out of the box thinkers and stuff like that. But a woman can basically make sure the company runs for 100 years. A man can make sure that company runs for 50 years, but in that 50 years, it makes multi-millionaires, but then it dies in year 51 because it took another risk that didn't work out. You see? So that's what I'm saying, and I think that roles are going to have to adjust. How we are going to adjust to it, for me, that's the question I don't have the answer to because of the natures. I think a lot
Yes,
of
yes.
people struggle with the nature dynamic. It's going to be difficult, but I think a lot of men are living it now. I think we have to be honest. A lot of men are living it, and I think something Sly touched on is the fact that men men are fitting into the role easier than the ladies. I think if you have to think of it that way,
Hmm.
which a man can take that he earns less, right? And he can take maybe the male roles that are more intangibles, not linked to the money and stuff. But I feel like the woman's nature to be provided for is the one that can't be ticked in an intangible, like if that makes sense, you know? So that's where the difficulty is, maybe because also they also have to submit that they have to kind of give off the power to a man and not and the man is no longer the provider. She's the
Yeah.
provider. So I think that's the tough part. So yeah, I think that's my answer. Did I answer your question?
You didn't answer anything.
Exactly.
I
You
did.
literally said
There's no
you
solution
literally said
given.
That was the
that you don't know
solution,
what
that
the
people must
solution
submit to
is.
the roles, the new roles
And
that
then
are
what did you
coming.
say? You said you don't know.
Useless.
No,
How's
I
gonna
said I
happen?
don't know how it's gonna work out for the natures, how
Yeah,
we're gonna get past that, because nature is
That's what
nature. But I'm saying they
that's
must submit to the rules.
but that's part of the solution. How you gonna submit to the rules? Is the solution we're looking for with the natures. That's the solution we are looking for.
But guys,
guys.
that's
This
so
thing, this is a question we cannot answer yet because one human beings like our nature is going to it's going to be the biggest interfering factor when it comes to such. And already it's tough. We can see it with those who are in those situations that it's not easy. So hey, I'm just curious to see how this plays out. I hope I'm not in that situation, but I know I won't be, man. I'm on my way to billionaire status.
yeah, you're on
Um,
your way to billionaire, and so is your wife. You're gonna have 1 billion, she'll have three, and you'll be in
yeah,
the same situation.
But if you have 1 billion,
we'll
you
see. I
basically have
mean,
three.
Ah, it's
ooh, she
different,
has
Baba.
three.
It's different, Baba. That's 10K versus 30K, Baba. It's different.
Let me tell you guys something.
But
Your
if
wife
you
is always
can,
gonna have more money than you.
Yeah?
Your wife is always gonna have more money than you, especially if you are the one doing the providing.
yeah.
Because your money is going to work. Even if you earn the exact, even if she earns less than you, she'll always have more disposable than you. Unless if you're in that situation where now you're splitting the financial obligations. So that part is not a problem. But as long as you're in a position to do what you need to do as a man, then well,
But
well, you don't
yeah.
want to be the unemployed guy with a billionaire girlfriend or wife.
Here's a
Who doesn't
question
want
for
that?
you. Here's a question for you
Speak
guys. I
for
think a
yourself. You
better
don't want
way,
that.
here's a better way to phrase the question. Are you guys willing? I know like 50-50 does not exist, but are you willing to get assistance in terms of payments of utilities and household stuff from your wife? Let's say they contribute instead of 50-50, they contribute, it becomes 70-30, according to who earns more, who earns less.
I want to hear
Is
Manja's
that a
answer to
way?
this question.
Wait, repeat that for me. I wanted to
So
get it properly.
what I'm basically asking
Mm,
is, would it be better if maybe instead of going like a full 50-50,
mm,
uh the if things to the household or household, yeah, things to the household, the bills and everything gets contributed in such a way that if maybe your wife earns 70% more than you, she can then contribute 70%, you contribute 30%. How
mm.
would that work? Would it work better going into the modern? Because you still, as a guy, you're still contributing, but because now they're earning more than you, they're contributing more than you.
No, technically that's how it's meant to work. I think that's the most feasible plan, right? That's technically the most feasible plan. Because if someone's earning 70 and someone's earning 30, you must also remember there's a certain lifestyle you guys have. And your 30 may not be able to fund that lifestyle alone. So obviously, the person who may be able to foot that bill a bit more is the 70%. So I think that's technically how it's meant to go. Because Buffett, how can I put this? The we're going into an era where that 70 to 30 may not even be 70 to 30. And so the other person has to fit the bill, unfortunately. And that's where the natures comes in. What's your take, Joao? 30 must pay for everything. That's Joao's take, I know.
In theory, the split finances thing would work better so that not one person takes on a lot of financial burden. However, in practice, based on my own personal experience, well, let me just speak for myself. I struggle with that. I'll agree today when drawing up the agreement, when we're like, okay, cool, this is how we're gonna do the finances. But then I always find myself in a position where now I'm just starting to pay for everything. Like I structure my life in that way that anything that we do, I look at it and be like, okay, will I be able to afford to do this? And then I'm like, okay, cool, I can. And then I do everything. Then when they come back and it's like, oh, okay, you did this. I was like, yeah, okay, I did it. Then from there, I Mushito Dwella Bill. I don't another split thing. In theory, it makes sense, but I've realized that it's not something I can do.
You
So in
Sky?
other words, me, I find that the splitting for me would work best. Because I feel like you still need to keep up a certain lifestyle. You're not alienating one person. One person's not taking care of everything because, again, a lot can happen in the world where one day you're working, you're comfortable in your job, then the next day or the next
Mm,
month you might lose that job. And if you both contributing what you can contribute, because I'm more of like contribute what you can contribute, then rather than contributing nothing, then we can still maintain the lifestyle. If you still want to have savings, you're still able to have savings and so forth because you're contributing what you can and not putting everything on one person's shoulders. Because I've seen a lot of the times when everything's on one shoulder, when that person loses something, it becomes something else basically,
mm. And what
where
I've
there's a
seen is that
struggle.
in the case where the let's say the 30% is deciding to pay for everything, whatever the case may be, when times get tough, they tend to abandon that one.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
That is a
saying
very unfortunate part.
I think Chwaga, you need to work past that thing of yours because that thing of yours is not practical. I think it's a good manly thing to have, because as a man you have to strive to pay for everything, but you also have to come to a point where there are certain things you have to let go, right? Just for the sake of advancement, because it's advancement at the end of the day. Both of you have to advance. When I say advance, I mean your 30% also has to have savings as much as her
Mm,
70% as also has to have savings, because you're building together, but you also accumulate wealth like your own ways. So
mm,
now when you put your 30% just to fund the whole life, then you have no savings. Then the person who has 70% has savings. Then when that person decides, good, okay, I've saved now 2 million, let me go buy the house. They're like, oh, Joach, I wanted to tell you, good, sharp, Baba, thanks for the life. I am now sorted. You helped me save for my 2 million rand house. Now I'm going, but I'm not taking you with me. Then you're gonna be like, how? Kanjan. And then it's like, but and you didn't save. You didn't save now at this point.
yeah,
So
you see, that's to be honest, that's also being irresponsible because you can't overextend yourself. So whenever you do these things, right, you do it within what you like your what do you call it?
Parameter limitations.
Yeah, you need to set those boundaries for yourself. Okay, this is where I can, this is as far as I can go, right?
mm,
And that's is whatever you're going to do, you make sure that you play within that field, and then you need to have your savings, your investments, or whatever it is that every other thing, money for records, which I think is very important. But you need to create those boundaries for yourself and those parameters to say this is as far as I'm willing to go. So whatever you need to take care of needs to fall within that space, and that's what I do
mm.
with my finances. So whether or not I'm staying with a woman, that's always going to be the case. So I know at what point will I, if I exceed a certain point, or if
Because
anything takes me to a certain point, I can cut it out.
I think let me put it to you this way. There's a difference in what I'm saying. You see, with you in your situation, you are already staying by yourself. Then
Mm.
someone came and stayed with you. You just resumed what was there. Like
Yeah.
you were already taking care
Mm.
of yourself. You didn't like let go of what because you already structured your life to make sure you take care of what you need to take care of. The addition of
Mm.
that person, yes, can add more, but it doesn't take away from there are things that you were just doing for yourself. And
Exactly.
be, yeah, so that's the situation. But now we talking from a point where you and that same person now move to the burbs. Do you get good?
Mm.
Now you can't pay for rent
Mm.
alone.
Yes, but
Like
then
there's
it goes back to the very same thing I'm saying now, that you have you create those parameters for yourself. So for me, if I'm the one who's paying, natural, I'd look at those things to say, can I afford to move to the burbs? I won't just say because the wife wants to move to the burbs, I'm moving to the burbs, knowing good and well, alright, it's gonna defeat me.
but that's what we are saying, Guti. We see the world we're moving in.
Mm,
If the wife is your wife, you're going to have to move to the burbs. And the reason I'm saying this is because you are going to be creating a life together. And moving to the burbs isn't going to hit your finances when you think of each other's finances. And it's not saying you're not going to contribute. It just means that now, instead of where you live now, where you can pay for everything, now you're just going to need assistance, a top up that she didn't have to do, but now she does. But you now live in the burbs and you guys
You
are
see,
living what is considered a better life. And we're not saying everything is better in the burbs, but we're going based on what she wanted, etc. It to her it would, or let's say in general, it would be considered a better life in the burbs, but the finances are going to have to look a bit different.
that makes sense. That makes sense, right? The only thing is that now, um, I think okay, no, I didn't have this conversation with you. One of the things that you always need. No, we actually did have this conversation when we spoke about the guy who moved in with the girlfriend in one of our previous episodes. Who
Mm.
Yeah.
moved in with the girlfriend, and then they had the issue when the guy had to go for a funeral, and then she refused to give him money to go and refused for
Yes,
him to
yes,
take
yes.
the car, right?
Mm.
And one of the things we touched on was that you always need to put yourself in a position where you don't stand to struggle. Now let's assume that we, as you had mentioned, we moved to the burbs, right?
Mm.
And then when you move to the burbs, sharp, have split everything down the middle, or you decided that you wanna both contribute on both sides for cost and whatever. And then things don't work out for some other reason because people do split up. It happens.
Mm.
Now you're in a position where now you can't afford to live in the burbs. Now you need to make readjustments because you can no longer afford the lifestyle based on a
Mm.
decision that you made to take on a certain level of responsibility, relying on someone else's income. So
Mm.
for me, I always believe that you need to protect yourself at all times. Play within the parameters that you are comfortable with. If maybe say
Yes,
those parameters,
but you see what I'm saying. Okay? Let's put it to this way. Let's say you're paying 5K rent, right?
right,
And the place you have to move to is 10K. So
right,
she's also going to top up 5K, right?
right,
Now you've moved to the new place. Everything is nice, it's sharp, you're living in the place is 10K, right?
mm,
Your expense has not changed at all from when you were living by yourself. And that's
yeah,
the thing you need to communicate. There's a certain budget I have to live by because I can't overextend. When I say overextend, you can't now that you live in the burbs, now say I want to let's split 50-50. I don't know what, a car that costs 500K. Because you know that in the long run she's going to have to fit that bill because you can't contribute to that thing. You see, now that's a different story. You're adding many more assets that if ish hits the fan, you can't really do anything about that asset because you don't really have the finances for it. But let's stick to the rent. 5-5. Let's say things turn out bad, you have to move back. All you're doing is taking what you already earn or what you're already paying and going back, restarting, moving back to where you began and continuing to rent where you began. That is the only difference. You are still paying your expenses. The only difference is that to get to the burbs, now she had to contribute that top up. But if things don't work out, you just have to go back to default settings of living by yourself. But you have not overextended yourself where you are living a lifestyle that you couldn't even afford. But you can live a lifestyle you can't afford if you are living it with someone else. But you don't overextend your, let's say, um, what you call liabilities, whatever, that sense.
but then it's the
So
same because now, assuming okay, fine, my expense doesn't change in the short term. Let's say now this person we don't split up, but then they stop working, and I still have to carry the load. So we're
Then you
not
move
now.
back.
Yeah,
Then you move.
you see now. So at the end of the day, it puts you
But
still in the
Joha,
same situation
no, it's
that you
not the
could
same
be
situation. But
that you
Joha, that
tend to
is life.
avoid.
There are many people who have to, and this situation can be you alone. When I say you alone, I'm saying let's just say you are earning a lot of money and you can afford the burbs, and then you lose your job. What's going to happen?
Yeah,
You
you
have
see,
to go
so
backwards. So it's
But
what you.
even okay,
I don't think you
even
understand
now,
what I'm saying.
okay, let me put like this,
Oh,
Shaka. I think I understand what Manga's trying to say, but I'll put it like in a different way. Even in the situation you are in now, it can happen that you lose your job and you can no longer
Yeah.
afford to live in where you are living right now. It can
Mm.
happen. So what Manga is saying is that take that out because that is a circumstance that can happen at any time. We're using your current budget. You move to the burbs with your girl, and you keep your budget stays the same. It's just that then she
yeah.
will contribute where she contributes. You thinking now, what you're thinking is that you don't have to maintain that lifestyle. Even now, you can lose your current lifestyle if you lose your job. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's a possibility that you also have to think about right now.
So
Certain things can happen at any time. If she
Mm.
loses, it's not a
And
bad thing
and
to
the
move back
yes,
and say, let's
and
go back here.
exactly. And if she's, let's say you still live together in town and you lost your job, she could say, no, I'll pay now. I'll pay the rent for the next 12 months while you look for a job. And you'll go and look for a job. And that's where she fit meets the bill that you couldn't make. But because it's a partnership, that is what comes with it. She will pull you up where you can't pull yourself up. And those are the circumstances. And that's why I'm saying, I think Sly put it best. When you move to the burbs, your circumstance does not change. You're still paying what you paid before, because you can't now say you move to the burbs and you're paying 10K because you can't afford 10K.
okay, what I'm trying to say essentially is that whatever situation you choose to put yourself in, or let me speak for myself rather, I put myself in that situation knowing that it's a situation I can stand with or without outside assistance, right? At least I had to learn that the hard way. So I wouldn't want to put myself in a position where, like, now I need to rely on assistance from someone else, especially financially. So I can understand where you guys are coming from and what you are mentioning, and you are not wrong in what you're saying. I'm just saying that for me personally, it works best if I put myself in the best possible situation that works for me financially, so that even if I do take on a wife or whatever, I'm still able to operate whether or not she's there, whether or not she is willing to contribute or anything like that. Anything that they contribute, if they do decide to contribute, will just be extra, but will not be a necessity to what is already there. I don't know if I'm making sense, and I hope I am.
You you making sense, but I think the part that you were saying, not in too many words, is that you cannot let go of that male
That
role
responsibility.
that male role that we were talking about. And what I think the main point of what we're trying to say is that we are moving into a world where women are going to out earn men, but it doesn't mean that now. Let me put it to you this way: if your woman can afford to live in the burbs, and let's just say you together for the rest of your lives, and she can afford to live in the burbs, etc., and you can never afford to live there for the rest of your life, you can't say, but we'll never live in the burbs because I can't afford it. If you are building a life together, l- you should still move to the burbs because you are going to be together forever. But what you're saying is that, but you can't do that. Like, you can't, you would rather take the decision of, I would rather be in a position where I don't need you, the wife. I don't need you, the wife. I can earn where everything that I have, I can sustain it myself and I don't need you. But what I'm saying is
Financial,
that, yeah.
you
Yes,
financial,
financially. Yes, yes.
and
I mean
financial.
financially. I don't need you. I want to stay in that position. And what I'm saying is that, but sometimes how life works is that the person who is invited into your life, maybe the person who acquires the opportunities to bring the both of you up, and that may be your wife. And if that's your wife, it means that you can't. Okay, I'm not saying you can't, because obviously it's still your decision if that's how you want to live. I'm saying when she wants to advance her life, and advance not even her life, your life, she wants the quality of life. For example, she wants to move to the burbs closer, and then have kids because she feels like the burbs are safer and stuff like that. You say no, because I can afford where I'm living now. I'd rather have live here and have the child here. But she's like, no, but think about the life that I want us to have together. Then you're like, no, that one, I can't afford that life. I want the life I can afford. But to her, she's like, but
Basically, can I just quickly interrupt, just maybe
yeah,
just to try shorten it a bit? Basically, um, it raises a better question, but basically, from what I get, is that Ujoaka has, I don't want to say an issue with the terms of a partnership financially, where
mm,
the wife is contributing. He wants to be able to say, no matter what happens from his side, everything needs to be secure from his finances.
mm,
And the issue is that now, what I think Mike is trying to explain is that if something happens, maybe if the wife wants to move, or if maybe maybe you have a kid, or there's a dream that you both want to fulfill, um, the partners, is it not best to go in and try achieve that dream? But Ojaka is pulling back where he's saying like, I don't want to achieve that dream if I cannot afford it. If I've got it
No,
in,
no, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
okay,
I want to be able to maintain my role basically and provide, but I'm not going to overextend myself to a position where now I need financial assistance. Essentially. In other words, I have no problem paying for everything
you have no
in the
problem
shortest
paying for
possible
everything.
way.
mm,
Okay.
Anything else
But
beyond
here's the
that is
question. The question I think rather that we're trying to get you to answer is, if your girl or your wife, your future wife, says, we can afford to go there. You cannot afford. We can afford. We, as in like you and
mm.
her. We can afford. Are you then going to agree or disagree based on who you are and based on
knowing
you wanting to
myself,
provide everything? Or are you going
knowing
to say
myself.
no, and then your situation is, but then she's gonna count and say no. But I'm saying that we can because we're supposed to be a team.
Right. So knowing myself, even if I agreed, I'll always end up trying to take care of everything. So that's just how I am,
But we're
unfortunately.
saying you can't. In this situation, you won't be able to.
Yeah, you see, then it will end up not happening.
So yeah, that's I think that's where the crux is that because of your personality, or yeah, your personality and the roles, you would
My
always
nature.
want your nature, you'd always want to be dominant and not accept assistance.
Yeah,
In basic
that's
terms,
God intended.
this is basic terms,
That's what you are saying.
you know.
Yeah.
But here's the situation. You have an ability, right, to move to the best neighborhoods where your kids can grow up safe and sound.
Mm-hmm.
Security, security is tied, you have security guards or whatever. But to move to that gated community, you have two incomes. Let's say, for example, 100,000 a month. It's just an amount I pulled out. 100,000 a month for two. So you have 200,000 a month, but you both earning the same amount. That
Mm-hmm.
gated community, you both, uh, if you combine it, you can afford a house there, right? In that community. If you combine your assets, are you then
Mm-hmm.
willing to combine your assets with your wife to afford that better life, or are you not willing to?
Okay. But I mean, you know that we're going around in circles and answering the same question 72 times. Because I'm still saying I'm not going to change my answer.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
as
I
long as
mean,
I'm
Okay.
I get you now, but I think what maybe look, I get you, and I don't think we can really change that mindset. But
We're
what
not changing the mindset.
Yeah, because what I'm just saying, and maybe what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with what you're thinking, right? There's nothing wrong. Like I think every man thinks the way you think, right? In terms of they want to do everything, but in reality, that in reality,
In
especially the world we live in, you can't, it's not, unless you really are really a black coffee, or like you're really earning really well, you can do that. But in reality, they the life you living now, in reality, you oftentimes or living it with the assistance of your partner. And if things don't turn out the way they turn out, you downgrade. And if and it's the same when partner and people in relationships live that life even when they don't split with their partner. For example, there are people out there who are earning let's put it to this way. There are people out there who are earning a big amount of money and they've had to downgrade. Either the partner has lost their job and they had to downgrade, leave that nice house that they have to move into a flat. And they had to downgrade. Unfortunately, they had to do it. But that is the reality of life. Sometimes in life, you will downgrade with your partner or you'll downgrade alone because you and your partner go your own ways. But when you guys come together, you are building for a better future. For example, when I say this, I'm saying if your wife comes to you and shows you her salary or basically shares you are sharing each other's monies or showing whatever the case may be, it's from a standpoint where she's like, Kujo, we are building, let's build, Baba, let's build. Maybe she's saying let's go and buy Uber cars or whatever, but you can't afford it on your side. But she's saying, but I want it for us. The profit must go to us. Let's make start businesses, but you don't have the capital. From your side, you're gonna be like, because I don't have the capital, gain. I don't have that capital, gain. Don't put me in this project, gain. I only involve myself in things that I financially can afford. And I'm saying that is a good mindset, but it's not a building mindset. And when I say it's a good mindset, I'm saying every man should have that mindset to always find themselves in a position where they provide, etc. But the reality is that we live in a world where sometimes to get ahead, you do need that assistance from someone else to put you in that space to do something extra, because life is also about chance. You move into the neighborhood, you bump into Glenn Lewis at the gym. How, Pat, new gig. Life is also about chance, guys. Like, and your partner
Yeah.
maybe is that chance you'll get.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is that it's not to say go and start a life with your wife that is beyond your means. We're saying take what you can afford and say, I can't afford a 20K house. No, no, no. Like, I can't afford that. But let's find something where at least I'm still within my budget. And if she can afford it, sharp. Because the reality is how life works is that you may win the lottery, ne? Let's talk about it this way. You may win the lottery, ne? But your wife would have played that ticket. So now when your wife played that ticket, is it not your lottery? Is it your wife's lottery?
Who played the ticket and who paid for it?
Your wife.
Oh, then it's hers. We'll just
No, but
enjoy
in the
it.
context of building, it's ours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hers, but we'll just chow it together.
Yeah, but when you
So
but you do get that when you child together, she's gonna say, we're leaving this place. We'll go
yeah,
to
that's
Alberta.
fine. That's fine if
Oh,
that's what you to do. But what I'm saying is, right? What I'm
so
still
now you're
saying,
saying you'll leave when she
Mm.
wins the lotto.
no, what I'm saying is that now I'm still like, look, we're gonna talk about this the whole night. We need to wrap
Yeah,
it
I
up.
know.
What I'm saying is, not personally,
No,
the
answer the
concept
question.
of
We heard your answer. Answer the lotto one. If she wins the lotto, are you
look,
staying or you going with her?
even if she wins it for 4 weeks in a row, I still want to take care of things. So, to answer
We
your question in short, if I can't take care of things, I'm not going anywhere.
how? So when your wife wins the lotto, you're staying there.
How am I
Staying
going
in
to
the
take care of
flat.
things? Am I going to take care of things?
Uh,
I
She's
still
gonna
want to
buy
be
the
able
house
to
yeah.
provide
cash. She's going to buy the house
everything.
cash.
Look,
There's no rent anymore. She's buying the house cash.
even if she's
And
buying the house
probably
cash, there's
she'll
still
even put your name
utilities.
on the lease as well.
It's fine. What I'm saying is, I want to be in a
Or
position
it's
where I'm
fine,
able
so it's gonna be
to
fine, but you're
provide.
gonna say, but you can put my name on the list, but we're still living here.
What I'm saying to you is, I want to be in a position where I'm able to provide fully, right? So, what she's thinking of doing now, if I'm not in a position where I'm providing, I'm not going to change anything. So what I'm going to do, or for me, the best thing to do, because winning the lotto is one of those things that are a bit far-fetched. My thing is to always put myself in the best possible position, work my way to that point where I can provide the best possible life for myself and my family, right? But for me, for the 79th time tonight, I will always be that guy who's providing. You can throw any scenario. I will always be the one who is providing. I don't care who does what, where, why, and how.
In other words, his money is their money, and her
Exactly.
money is her money, and he
Aye, that
doesn't want to
one,
know
yeah.
anything.
If she wants to do stuff, if she wants to do stuff, it will be outside of just the necessities. That's fine. I won't stop her. But generally, making sure that we are okay as a family, that I will need to do. That is why I'm here.
I mean, now all I'm going to say is I don't. I'm not saying your way is wrong, but I think it's linked to trauma, Baba.
It's not linked to trauma.
Linked to trauma. No,
It's
it's not
linked
linked
to
to trauma.
trauma.
That's
It's
the
not
man I
linked
am.
to
What
trauma.
trauma? What am
You
like?
know
What's
why?
actually trauma?
You know why I say it's linked to trauma, right?
Mhm.
And you guys will say it's nature, whatever, whatever. Yeah, I hear you, but how can I put this? But where I say it's linked to trauma, I'm saying even providing will always be a man's first thing, right? And also
Mhm.
providing is not denying your family what is best for them, because that
Mm.
goal falls on top of selfishness. And when I say selfishness, I'm saying if your wife really starts earning well and she's your wife, she's with you for the rest of your life, and she wants to move to a nice suburb and stuff like that, when you say no, we're not going there, that starts borderlining selfishness, because you have an ego that is preventing for a better life for your family. And I'm saying, and I'm qualifying this by saying, and your approach is not bad. When I say your approach is bad, it's like it's the approach every man should have. But there are situations where it's better for everyone to go to that new phase of life. Even for you, it's better for you, it's better for your wife, it's better for your child, etc. But when you choose selfishness and you choose to be selfish and you choosing your child to stay in a situation that is not good for the both of you, and something happens to your child because there's more risk in that area, then that you are choosing to bite the bullet of, if my child gets hurt, get fine. But if I can move to a burb where there's security and stuff like that, I don't care about that as long as my ego is here. And where I'm saying is trauma. I'm saying sometimes we bring situations from our backgrounds, and I'm gonna speak to Joach. Joach's background is, and let me just also say my background is, we come from nothing. And we know relying on someone is dangerous, because if you rely on someone and ish hits the fan, and now you can't support yourself, we never want to find ourselves in that position. We always want to at the very least land on our feet, right? And that's because you come from nothing. Like you're building, when you're building, you don't want someone to touch the base of your house. You want to make sure the base of your house is correct. But when you meet someone who is part of the base and wants to extend that base of that house, and you say no because of a point of self-interest, you have to also look into yourself to be like, there's an element of trauma that's stopping me from allowing this building, and it's coming from a good place but may not be good for my family. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I,
So yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I would accept any form of help in the form of advice or cheerleading or anything like that. But
but
so
but
like
I
it's not to say that we don't want what's best for the family, right? Because now
mm,
essentially, if you know if you know the type of person I am, you know that I'm always trying to get the best. You know, I'm always trying to do more. I'm always like actively trying to put myself in a position where I'm
we're
able
not
to
in,
give
you know,
more.
that part we've never
Right.
denied. We
we're
know
not
that
Yeah.
part. That part
So
we and it will never, that part of yourself will never change. we
Yes.
always know you'll always seek the best in every way, and you will never be satisfied even when you reach the next level. You'll always be striving. That
Mm.
you as a person, we're not questioning. Even if
Right.
you reach, let's say, even if you become a millionaire tomorrow, I'm not even gonna question if I know you're going to want to double it, triple it. That you we're not questioning. With that part, we don't question.
I think we're questioning the role of the modern world.
The modern world can go jump. So,
What I mean by the modern world is that with women now being able to get better paying jobs, taking a little bit more responsibilities off you, maybe off your hands, not for you to have full autonomy responsibilities. And by that I mean like sometimes splitting the bills. It doesn't have to be like a 50-50 split.
Mm.
It
And
can
we
be
know,
70-30, 80
and
20.
and to Sly's point, every man wants 100%. Every man wants to be able to do 100%. But life, Mafet, like, and you can't deny your family a good quality of life because you saying you want to own 100%. But what if your 100% can only give you a certain type of life? But when you include your wife, you guys can live. Let's say, let me put it to you this way. Let's say your life alone is 5,000, right? Just your
mm,
life is alone is 5,000, right? But let's
mm,
say your wife really earns well, and her life alone is 80K,
mhm,
right? But your
mm,
life alone is 5,000. You want your family to live under 5, when you as a family are worth 85. And when I say 85, is like, what if your wife doesn't even want to have the life of someone with 80K? She just wants it to be at 30K. She just wants the life of a 30K. But you'll say, no, I can't afford 30K. I want the life of 5K because that is the life I can provide for everyone. And she will say, I'm not taking away from the fact that you can provide the 30K, but for us, me, you, our child, our future, I want this better quality of life of 30. Meaning there's still a buffer that she has in her life that's there, but she wants to bring you up with her, etc., at 30K. But you will, because of your stance, will say no, we will make ends meet at 5.
those are things you sort out before you even get to the stage where people are married now. Unless if, say, you were at a certain level and then life happened while you were within the marriage and then you're down to that stage. But I personally believe that these are things that need to be sorted out before you get into the marriage.
But
To say, okay, this is
and
how
what
we're
you
going to live. And then from there, you decide on how you're going to make it work.
But Joachim,
Right.
what I'm saying is, we're not talking from even a point where you meet a lady who is at 80. What if you meet a lady who's at 1K, and you at 5, and you're running everything? Then she jumps to 80, and she's with you now. She's like, I want, let's go, let's improve our life. This is the life we talk about often. And then you're gonna be like, yeah, that life we talk about often. Wait, I will give you that life we talk about often. But what if life is that you will never reach that? And when I'm saying, I'm not talking about that you're not going to reach that. We're just talking about, let's just say it pans out that you don't get to even 10K, you're always at 5. You then would, in essence, be willing to die on the sword that your family must live at 5K, even if they can afford that other life that your wife wants you to have. And she doesn't want it for herself, she wants it with you.
Mm. Aye. Shame.
It's a conversation.
Shame.
It's a
Like,
conversation.
I think
It's a
you already know what I'm going to
conversation.
say. So,
I know
It's a
what you're gonna say, but I'm just
conversation.
saying, I think one thing I'm going to advise you is, and I'm not saying go change your stance, because I think you're very adamant that you're not gonna change your stance. But you must understand, you must go back and look at what you are saying is linked to something else. And 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 why I'm saying that is because every man has what you are saying. But when you are willing to deny your family a better life, just to stroke your ego, you need to start asking yourself why you're getting to that point.
So you're only looking at it from that stance, or now I'm denying my family a better life. But it's not to say, Lorana, it's not even a situation whereby now that's the only thing that comes out of it, where now the family could only live better or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of things that go into these things. So you look at these things and you look at, okay, fine, um, this is where we are, this is where we're trying to go, right? And you as a person, yes, you may not, or you may find yourself in a situation whereby maybe now the wife miraculously gets to a certain point before you do. But if it's something that you are dreaming about or you are working towards, then why not? Why not put yourself in
Mm.
that position to say that, okay, no, yes, the wife can pay for tickets to Disneyland and all of those things, but then the essentials I still believe that I should be able to take care of at the very least. Like at the very
But
least. Not to say that they're
yeah,
exempt from doing anything. They can do the fun stuff. Let them do that. It's fine. Personally, let me be the one to make sure that the family is okay.
and when what you see, I know we're going around in circles, and what we are saying is that we're not the Disneyland. Forget the Disneyland. The Disneyland, yes, she will still do go to Disneyland if she wants to. The fun stuff, she'll still do them, but she doesn't want to live there. She wants to live in the burbs.
That's something we will sort out before the marriage. That then we'll build from there. But I still say that my stance there is not going to change at any time in
Because
this lifetime.
no, I hear you, and like I say, I think why you have to introspect that one because I think it's linked to trauma, and that's my
Mhm.
opinion. I'm not saying that is my opinion because I know a lot of people who think like that, and a lot of people who think like that. The idea is good, but it's linked to something that is taking it. It's like linked to ego because uh, I don't know how to explain it, but what you are saying has a lot of eyes and it lacks a lot of we's. And we are talking from a perspective when it's we now. But your default setting is like, I want
I
to be fine. Like when ish hits the fan, I must be fine. Guti, my
So,
default.
but it's not for myself. That's the thing.
But let's say we talk about your current life, what you can afford now,
Yes.
right?
So
Right?
also take
But
into account that, yes, but now take into account that I'm not doing it for myself. Because doing it for myself is like saying, okay, if we can do this, it's fine. Let me take advantage of the fact that someone else can afford more. And then I can relax and then go back to spend, instead of spending 4K on vinyls, I can spend 10K on vinyls now. Because there's this extra hand that's chipping in.
mhm,
That's me thinking, putting I before we. But me saying that I want to be able to take care of my family, my wife, my kids, it's not, I'm not doing it for myself. That's not for me. That's for everyone else.
okay. I
I'm willing
think
to carry the burden for
oh, Josh,
everyone else.
I don't
I
agree.
think Chaka lost the point somewhere
Yeah.
there. It's not so much of where we are saying that you are thinking of. It's when you say that you're thinking of. We more saying that you're putting more importance on what you should be able to do instead of looking at the overall picture of
Okay.
what can be done. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, in not so mean terms, we understand that yes, you want to pay for the majority of the priority things you want to pay for, but we're saying that here's somebody who's coming into your life and saying that, look, let me take half that burden, or let me take a portion of that burden off you, right? And let's try to build into a better place. We're going to build. You and I are going to build. I'm gonna take half. I'm gonna take a portion of your responsibility, and we're going to build. Not so much of you saying then I, but you then. It seems like you are then saying that no, you don't want that burden taken. You don't want a portion, or you don't want anything taken off your shoulders. All the responsibility should fall on you. Everything should fall on you. But this person is there that's saying that no, not everything needs to fall on you. Allow me to take part of
because
that burden.
she comes from the we perspective,
You
but
know,
you are saying no, I want to
I
do everything, I want
that's
to,
what
but
we're
she's like,
trying to get you to
but
see.
she's
But
not,
you,
but she's saying, I get that you want to do everything, but we are building together. I want a better life for us. And then you're like, yeah, I get that you want a better life for us, but it must happen on my terms. And this is how we're going to do it. But you are saying that even if that life that you are choosing does not benefit the both of you, but it benefits what you can afford, it doesn't benefit what you guys, both of you can afford, and the quality of life that both of you can have. Which is why I'm saying, let's say you live in town or whatever the case, and you can easily get jacked, and now you have a child, can easily get jacked. There's a lot of crime, whatever the case may be, and she's like, I'm tired of this life, I want to move to a safer place. And then you're gonna be like, but I can't afford a safer place. And then she's like, yeah, but we can afford a safer place, me and you. And then you're gonna be like, I don't work like that, I work with me, I must be able to afford the safer place. Then she's gonna be like, but Kujo, our safety, when you are not around and going to gigs, it's just me and your child, and we don't find ourselves safe here. And then you're gonna be like, I get you, you're making valid points, but Oksala, we're not moving to a place that I cannot afford. It must be me who fits all of these bills. And what I'm saying is that that is a lot of, you are saying, it's the right, what can I say, you have the right mentality, but it's not the best way to move forward, because it's very selfish to have that approach with your, for you, if you're talking about you yourself, if this is your own life, sharp, good. But when you're talking about your family, then I think that's where it changes a bit.
I will never end this conversation because
just
we'll just
okay.
keep saying
Let
the
me
same things.
okay. Let me put it into a different perspective for you, just quickly. I'm gonna use cultures.
Okay, just
Indian
quickly, it's
culture.
been 2 hours, ne?
Yeah, yeah.
Two
No,
and a half hours now.
yes. No, man. Just quick. This will be less than 2 minutes. In an Indian culture, right? The
Mm-hmm.
guys pull them all their money into this. No one. Maybe there's a head of family. Maybe the grandpa's the head of family. Whatever.
Mm.
Everybody pulls in their money and they all work from that money. If the wife also has businesses, they also will pull in theirs. What we're trying to get you to understand is it won't hurt for you guys to pull in your money together so that you can afford the better life. You still have the responsibility, but we don't want you just to say I should be. Instead of saying I should be, a we can afford, we can do this, we can do this. Instead of it being why, we just want you to pull
but
in your finances
but I
so
think
that you can afford
slime,
something
you see,
better.
this is why when I'm saying it's linked to trauma, Jwaka's like, mm-mm. But you know why I'm saying that? I'm telling you, because we come from poor backgrounds, and we never want to find ourselves never landing on our feet, because we know poverty. When you pull yourself out of poverty, your default is that you must always land on your feet, regardless
Hmm.
of who you date, who your friends are, whatever the case may be. You never want to find yourself where you were. You want to make sure good you find yourself in a position that you can control, and it speaks to control. You want to be able to control the situation, the environment, etc., etc., right? And that, why I'm saying it's a good, um let's say, mentality for a guy, but unfortunately it's not a good mentality all the time, because it's a good mentality because a guy must always have that mindset that he wants to get to a point where he provides. But what tends to happen is that, I think even Ricky Rick went through this phase where he had no job, and his wife was funding his dream, right? His wife was giving him taxi money to go for interviews. She was paying rent. She was paying for groceries as he was going into the booths, taking CDs to people. He was doing everything he could do. He didn't have like, he was struggling. He was in between job, etc. But the moment he made it, she didn't pay a cent going forward of the life. He ran everything. She didn't touch a thing. But what we are saying, what Jaka is saying, is that he will never be Ricky Rick. He will never be Ricky Rick. Except rent, had to pay the rent. he would rather go leave him cooking alone and starve than for her to
Mm.
fund that Ricky Rick life. But the woman, Ricky Rick's wife, she knew what she's with this guy for life, and they're going to figure out life. As tough as life is, they're going to figure this thing out. And Ricky Rick, because he didn't deny it, he always gives credit to his wife for the success they had in their life. Because everything they have now in their life goes to his wife's contribution. She was the beginning part of that contribution, you see.
Mm.
And that's why, but Jwaga saying he never wants that. Like he would, like if Jwaga, if Jwaga became unemployed, what he'll do is that he like let's just say, touch wood, touch whatever. Jwaga is living with his girl. He becomes unemployed. The first thing he'll do is that he'll pack his kwama. He will go to MP and say, "You go live by yourself." And then the wife will be like, "Why? Like, where you going? Like, I'm gonna pay for it." He's like, "Ha, pay for who? For us? Are you joking about me? I'm going to MP. I'll figure it out myself." They're just like, "No, figure it out, but with me. Figure it out with me." And then he was like, "It doesn't work like that. It is gonna ask, are you gonna be paying for the rent? Yes. Are you gonna be paying for groceries? Yes. So me now, what am I gonna be paying? Like, no, you're gonna be looking for a job." They're like, "I don't work like that, lady. I'm going to MP. I'm not someone's burden." Nyahamba. You see? So
Actually, when Manga puts it like that, I'm more inclined to agree with your statement that there's some hidden trauma.
I'm telling you, there is. And that's what I'm saying. Remember, I always say this, your intentions are good. But when life changes and you have a family and stuff, you have to also think of ways to also have a better life for your family and you. And if you not if you don't want if you are choosing your ego over that life or your selfishness over that life, you need to have an introspection as to why you would choose a difficult life than to have a good life with your family. You need to introspect.
Hmm.
Jwag.
All right. In other
Final word.
news,
The final word. We give you the
there's no
final
final
word.
word. So the final word will
No, no,
continue
no, no,
on.
no. When we mean final word, we mean final.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we will
final
be
for the
done
day.
there. No,
Mm.
they
Yeah.
were done because we've established that some people like myself don't change their minds as easily.
Yeah.
So
But we're giving you the final word now.
Mm.
And that's
This
the
goes
okay.
final
back
word
to
is that
this goes
I
back to
heard
my
you, but
conversation
still,
last week. I'm glad Sly understands how difficult it is to convince this guy to do things.
that was shame.
But anyway, yeah, final word.
So yeah, final word is that it is what it is, and it will stay that way. So yeah, no, it's been actually very long. We're almost on 3 hours.
Hey, we
So
are.
yeah. So is there any of those other
There
feature that
was,
you
but
got
I
going?
don't know if you guys want to do them quickly or we've wasted time.
I think we can do 30 minutes, 20, 11.
30
Ah,
minutes.
30. We're gonna try go fly. We
I,
already have others that I haven't posted, so
then,
let,
I
let's
don't know.
try
It will
do
be
think
up
we
them.
to
can
you
call.
guys.
I
Let's
think we
just
can
do them.
call it.
Yeah? Or you wanna call it?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
can
can
call
call it.
it.
Okay. Gents,
Still need to
thanks
call
for
the
the app.
difference. So
Thanks for the app. I think it was very insightful. I think
mm.
the one thing we're taking away from this app is that Jwaga has trauma, but it's probably
So,
trauma that will lead him to be a billionaire. But that is what we pray for. We pray that he's on the right side of this trauma and that he's just a billionaire. Because whoever is his wife, she'll be definitely very, very happy when he becomes a billionaire. But if he's
Obvious.
a centennial like us, oh shame.
Hussein Makin.
Awu
Thank you
shame
again,
mameli.
Mtanama.
Awu shame akunathi